Chapter 347. On Saturday morning, Yoshimi Tamamo arrived at school earlier than usual. The corridor was quiet, like a ruin, and only her footsteps could be heard. Just when she thought she was the first person to arrive, the sound of a musical instrument came from afar. The melody was gentle and delicate, and the timbre was clear and transparent. It was an oboe. It was so beautiful that Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't help but stop. After listening for a while, she suddenly remembered Toru Watanabe's oboe that sounded like God's sigh last year. Why didn't she notice such a moving sound at that time? She was thinking about how bad the other party was. A summer where she could listen to such a melodious sound at any time might never happen again. The oboe suddenly stopped, and Yoshimi Tamamo came back to her senses and hurriedly collected her lost mood. This voice, she recalled as she walked. Horikita Masanori. This petite junior with a strange laugh who played Pokemon all day with her phone left a deeper impression on her than the others. Walking into the music classroom, she sat in her seat, opened the music score and practiced. Every time a member came in, she would read the other party's name in her heart. Tozawa Yuri, Tsubasa Shikiko, Mitomo Yuri, Ogawa. She looked around, quietly took out her phone, and checked the list from Kaoru Hayami. Ogawa Naozuko with short hair. Ogawa Naozuko with the clarinet. Ogawa Naozuko with average looks. Like memorizing English vocabulary, her lips opened and closed silently and quickly. I got 96 on the English test yesterday. Yoshimi Tamamo was startled by the sudden male voice, and her phone almost slipped from her hand. She turned around and saw Toru Watanabe standing beside her. He was wearing a white shirt and a brand new black suit jacket. Whether it was the school uniform or the casual and natural hair, he looked better and more fashionable than the male models Yoshimi Tamamo saw in magazines. That face that never showed a smile would be very suitable as an idol. Yoshimi Tamamo was lost in thought for a moment. Although she didn't want to admit it, she had been judging people by their appearance since kindergarten, and didn't think there was anything wrong with it. If Toru Watanabe wasn't good-looking enough, she wouldn't even be bothered to say anything bad about him. She would have long forgotten about him. Come back to your senses. What are you doing? She's so beautiful. Yoshimi Tamamo cursed and angrily put away her phone. Then, she flipped through the music score to relieve her shyness. Although this guy was annoying, which girl could stand being so close to him all of a sudden? Has the matter of the minister been confirmed? Toru Watanabe did not care about her attitude. Yes, Yoshimi Tamamo replied dryly. I look forward to your performance. Toru Watanabe was about to leave, but when he turned around he suddenly remembered something and said, The club is very important, but you can't ignore results. Is there any way? She was clearly asking, but her tone sounded like she was interrogating him. Toru Watanabe stopped and said, Listen to the teacher. In terms of learning methods, even if he was the best in the country, he was no better than a professional teacher. Without waiting for Yoshimi Tamamo to mock him, he continued. There's no way, but I do have a small suggestion. Don't compare results with people from other schools. Comfort yourself that even if you're taking summer classes in Kamigawa, you're still better than most people. You only need to set your sights on Kamigawa. Toru Watanabe had always done this. He didn't know whether the other people in the class did well or poorly. He also didn't know how many people entered the top 100 in the country. His target had always been Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. After the exam, he would take their papers and analyze them to see where they lost points and remind himself not to make mistakes. Who doesn't know? Yoshimi Tamamo, who had always been finding excuses for herself, pouted. Then there's none. Do your best. Toru Watanabe returned to Rin Kiyono's classroom. I don't recommend you do that, Rin Kiyono said as she looked at the music score. Do what? Comfort and encourage girls. Rin Kiyono turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Your grades are excellent and your looks. She looked at Toru Watanabe up and down. You're passable. If you're as gentle as before, you'll only cause trouble. Razor-san, I have a question. Toru Watanabe said. Yes. May I ask, what should I do to be considered good-looking in your eyes? Not lie? Why is it a question? Other than me, have you never seen anyone who doesn't lie? Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with a buck-up look. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded. Other than not lying, what else? Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand as she pondered. Toru Watanabe, Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe reminded her in a low voice. Qing Yi-rin's eyes snapped back to reality as he smiled beautifully. She said, and Toru Watanabe. As long as it's Toru Watanabe, only Toru Watanabe can be considered good-looking in my eyes. Kiyono-san, you won't lie, right? I won't lie. Rin Kiyono was certain. So you're saying that I'm really only passable? Rin Kiyono's gaze turned cold as she stared at Toru Watanabe, then shifted her gaze back to the music score. If you want to know what you look like, why don't you go to the window? It's not like the window can be used as a mirror during the day. Toru Watanabe said. I'm telling you to jump down and use your soul to take a good look at yourself after you die, Rin Kiyono said without raising her head. Hey, Kiyono-san, to think that I always thought that you were the representative of beauty. Thank you. I always thought that Watanabe-san was the real-life version of the male lead in novels with wisdom and a sense of humor. Say one more word, and I'll forgive your poisonous tongue. Your voice is clear and pleasant, your words are humorous, your temperament is good, your hands are especially big, and you're especially beautiful. Not only are you good at your studies, but you're also very handsome. Say one more word. Sometimes when I think of you, I feel like I've been electrocuted. Many people, including me, want to marry someone like Watanabe-san. Continue. Toru Watanabe almost couldn't control the corners of his mouth. I want to marry you. Rin Kiyono pulled her hair behind her ears, raised her beautiful face, and looked at Toru Watanabe. Aha! Toru Watanabe turned his head to look at the music classroom and raised his voice. Woodwind team, gather in the corridor on the 5th floor. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe, who was pretending as if nothing had happened, and couldn't help but laugh. After Toru Watanabe left with the woodwind team, she rested her elbows on the lectern, held a pen in her right hand, and covered her forehead with her left hand. Is it because I've been with Watanabe for too long? I can't believe I said something like that. Her right foot, which was wearing indoor shoes, tapped the floor of the music classroom with the tip of her toe. She was embarrassed. During lunch break, Toru Watanabe continued to draw. He drew Rin Kiyono, who was reading by the window. That drawing. Let's not talk about other places. My hand is jagged? Rin Kiyono said after looking at the drawing. Kiyono, have you heard of Picasso's 3 musicians? The hand inside is jagged. This is a tribute to the master. Toru Watanabe said righteously. Picasso's Dora and the Kitten, which used his lover as the main character, was sold for $216 million. Watanabe, how much can this drawing of yours be sold for? $900 million. Toru Watanabe raised his right hand. He put down his right hand and raised his left. $900 million once, $900 million twice, $900 million thrice. Deal. He raised the tablet with both hands as if it was a drawing and introduced it to Rin Kiyono. $900 million, Kiyono. Rin Kiyono's slender fingers reached for the tablet and swiped lightly to delete the drawing. $900 million, Kiyono. Is that so? In the afternoon, they continued to help with the wind ensemble's training until 5:30 p.m., when they left the school. Next week, the sports festival would begin. This time, the Human Observation Department did not participate in the competition. Toru Watanabe did not want to bully his classmates with his superior physical strength. After the sports festival, it was late October. There are fewer and fewer days left in school. Toru Watanabe painted the autumn scenery outside the window after lunch in the club's classroom. High school has its joys. University and society also have their fun. Rin Kiyono was reading Kigo Higashino's after school. Ever since Akira Aizawa in August, she had started reading mystery and suspense novels. The traditional literature that she liked to read was not available for a while. He doesn't care about youth. He just cares about the time he has to wear a student's uniform. Miki Kujo was on a whim today. She was tying Rin Kiyono's hair. Rin Kiyono's hair was bright and straight. In Miki Kujo's delicate hands, it flowed like black water. Toru Watanabe looked at the two of them and said, "Looking at you like this, I can do nothing. I can watch that oak tree die of old age." Oak trees can live for 400 years. Rin Kiyono reminded a certain someone to recognize the oak tree and not overestimate his own abilities. "That's right. It's a pity that you won't live that long," Toru Watanabe said. "When you die, I'll find a place to bury myself. You don't have to trouble yourself." Miki Kujo held Rin Kiyono's hair. "Before I die, I'll kill you first and bury you with me. Okay, look." Rin Kiyono looked at the mirror on the beach table. She had a high ponytail. Even someone like Rin Sano, who was a literary girl, looked like a girl who specialized in sports. Toru Watanabe's gaze swept over her snow-white slender neck that was exposed because of her hair. It gave him a feeling that it must be fragrant, soft and delicious. "How is it?" Miki Kujo asked. "It's just a ponytail," Rin Kiyono said casually. "Then what about this?" Kujio Miyoshi tossed and turned again. She looked like she was playing with a Barbie doll. "It's a thing," Rin Kiyono said. "This?" Toru Watanabe hesitated. Rin Kiyono looked at him in confusion. Miki Kujo smiled. At this moment, Rin Kiyono's hairstyle was a strand of hair that rested on her collarbone. It was a very dangerous hairstyle. The so-called dangerous hairstyle was just a joke. With this hairstyle, it made people look gentle and very homey. In anime where the faces were almost identical, people could only be distinguished by their hairstyle, clothes, and accessories. Looking at Toru Watanabe's eyes, Rin Kiyono knew that there was something wrong with this hairstyle. "I'll help you too." She closed the book, put it next to the mirror, and stood up. "Okay." Miki Kujo's tone was natural. She didn't care at all. When Miki Kujo sat down, Rin Kiyono stood behind her and reached her hand into her long hair. Miki Kujo's hair was very luxurious. It was a bit like a princess cut. It was Mrs. Kujo's proudest work. Back in Carriagings, Toru Watanabe had refused Mrs. Kujo's haircut because he was worried that she would cut his hair like a princess cut for men. While Rin Kiyono was tying Miki Kujo's hair, a fallen leaf blew in from outside the window. This was perhaps the first fallen leaf in Tokyo in autumn. The mark of autumn. Toru Watanabe stretched out his index finger and middle finger and caught the leaf in midair. "For the beautiful princess, my Miki." Miki Kujo kept her upper body motionless so that Rin Kiyono could tie her hair for her. She reached out and took the leaf. Facing the sunlight outside the window, the leaf became transparent, and the veins could be seen clearly. "For Kiyono, Mimi." She used the leaf as a bookmark and put it in the book Rin Kiyono was reading. "You put unwanted trash in my book?" Rin Kiyono asked. Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo both laughed at the same time. The two of them were indeed so naughty. If it weren't for the fact that they were so rich that they had to take care of their own trash, they would probably engage in a war of words, such as "I'm letting you take care of your trash because I want you to go out and lose weight." "Okay." Rin Kiyono stopped. Miki Kujo picked up the mirror and looked left and right. Toru Watanabe could tell that the two of them had different personalities with just this simple action. "So old-fashioned," Miki Kujo commented. "I did it on purpose," Rin Kiyono said with a smile. Her hair was braided in front of her chest. "In the shoujo manga I've read, the heroines are usually like this," Toru Watanabe said. "The male protagonists are each more fashionable than the other. Occasionally, the two of them will have a kabedon, and the male protagonist will fall in love with the female protagonist." "Shoujo manga?" Rin Kiyono was surprised by Toru Watanabe's reading habits. "In order to pursue Miki, I read everything," Toru Watanabe said. "Speaking of which, we haven't had a kabedon before?" Miki Kujo played with her braids. Toru Watanabe put down his tablet and imitated the male protagonist in shoujo manga, flipped his hair, and walked handsomely towards Miki Kujo. No. Miki Kujo, the Oscar-winning actress, immediately got into character. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, looking surprisingly weak. Toru Watanabe's heart began to warm up again. He walked to Miki Kujo's side, grabbed her hand, and pulled her up, then pushed her against the wall. My name is Toru Watanabe. He used his left hand to grab Miki Kujo's right hand, and pressed it against the wall. Only you. I want you to call me Toru. He lifted her seductive chin with his right hand. His movements, his voice and his gaze, apart from Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono, could conquer all the women in the world. That was enough. Toru Watanabe at this moment was so captivating. My name is Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo shyly turned her face away. Miki. Kun Watanabe. Toru Watanabe's gentle voice contained a hint of command. Toru. You too. Rin Kiyono looked at the two of them coldly. Toru Watanabe laughed playfully, and let go of Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo also smiled. It's over. Toru Watanabe said. Miki, we've only been together for a year, and the novelty has already worn off. My heart didn't even beat faster when I pressed you against the wall. Kujo Miki was not gentle at all. Instead, she gave a commanding Don't misunderstand, our love didn't become cold. It's already solidified, and it won't change no matter what. Smooth talker. Miki Kujo sneered at first, then smiled and said, That's more like it. You two. Rin Kiyono looked at the two of them coldly. Sorry, I forgot about you. Miki Kujo looked at her with a smile. It seems that my love with Watanabe has really solidified, and we ignore everyone else when we talk. Rin Kiyono's cold eyes suddenly thawed, but it wasn't that she wasn't angry. It meant that she was really angry, just like a flame turning from orange to blue. Watanabe-san. Kiyono revealed a gentle smile. Who do you love the most? I want to know too. Miki Kujo asked with a smile. I love Yangzhou fried rice. Do you know Yangzhou fried rice? I ate it once in Shikoku's Takamatsu City, and it was delicious, and I still can't forget it. I'm telling the truth, don't look at me like that, I'm scared. Chapter 348. On the night of October 31st, it was a Tuesday with a light drizzle. Kamibocho Villa, Miki Kujo's bedroom. There was a burst of sweet moans that made one's imagination run wild. Miki Kujo was lying on the bed, and Toru Watanabe, who was gently on top of her, used his fingers to tidy up her somewhat messy hair. When her rosy little face was exposed, he kissed her lips. Miki Kujo was already out of strength. With her eyes closed, she still let Toru Watanabe kiss her for a while, and then raised her hand to hit his back. Go down. Her voice was slightly hoarse, which made one's heart ripple. Toru Watanabe turned around and left. After cleaning up the traces, the two of them lay back on the bed. Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo from behind, making her back and butt stick close to him. Miki Kujo's face had a trace of tiredness after being satisfied, and she comfortably leaned in his arms. It seems to be raining. Toru Watanabe whispered in her ear. Miki Kujo didn't open her eyes, but listened for a while. The walls were soundproof, so she couldn't hear anything except Toru Watanabe's heartbeat and breathing. She didn't speak, but gently stroked Toru Watanabe's hand that was around her waist. Like this, feeling Toru Watanabe's body temperature, Miki Kujo slowly fell asleep and fell into a sweet dream. Toru Watanabe waited for a while, wanting to see the new product for November. He hadn't waited for the system to refresh in the early morning for a long time, but Miki Kujo said that she wanted to fly freely and see the sea of clouds in the sky, so he paid attention. November 1st, in the early morning, the blue transparent interface refreshed on time. New product. Gravity ball. Gravity ball. Touch the ball, and you can freely adjust the gravity of the surrounding objects. Tip 1. Effective range of 50 meters. Please pay attention when floating up. Tip 2. Fragile items handle with care, keep away from children. Click for more tips. Clicking on View More, a long string of words immediately popped up. Something like inedible, no restrictions on gravity, intelligent, gravity sphere, gravity sphere, gravity sphere, gravity sphere, etc. Toru Watanabe was so comfortable that he wanted to sleep. He felt that gravity ball should be very useful, but he didn't think too much about it. There was only one thought in his mind. He could give it to Miki Kujo as a toy and let her experience being an astronaut. When Miki Kujo woke up at 7:30 in the morning, the rain had stopped. "Miki, my Miki." Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly from behind. "What's the matter?" She yawned charmingly. "Here's something good for you." Toru Watanabe took out an ostrich egg-sized gravity ball. Miki Kujo looked at the ball in front of her. Its surface was black and smooth, but there was no reflection. "What is it?" she asked. "Gravity sphere, it can." Toru Watanabe roughly explained the tip. Halfway through, Miki Kujo became interested. She stretched out her white slender arm from under the blanket and took the gravity sphere. "I only need to think about it," she confirmed again. Before Toru Watanabe could answer, the blanket on both of them floated up. Miki Kujo's beautiful body under her pajamas was exposed to the morning air. Miki Kujo's sleepy eyes immediately became alert. "Why isn't the bed floating?" Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to speak, she said again. "Is it because the ball is on top?" Miki Kujo put the ball on the bed, then gently pushed the bed. Her body floated up like a mermaid. She looked at herself in amazement, experiencing the first floating experience in her life. After familiarizing herself with it, she continued to float up like a feather and landed on the blanket floating in the air. It was as if she was riding on a flying magic carpet. "I can't take you to see the sea of clouds. That's all we can do for now." Toru Watanabe lay on the bed and watched her fly around in the air. Miki Kujo looked at him from the air and said condescendingly, "Can't that thing of yours stop for a while?" "Take care of your pajamas first, sister." Toru Watanabe replied bluntly. Miki Kujo was wearing Western pajamas with a thin rope tied around her waist. At this moment, her shoulders were down and her legs were spread apart. She looked like a witch who had descended from the sky with an indescribable charm. Miki Kujo didn't tidy up her pajamas. Instead, she used her thumb and index finger to pinch the rope and straighten it, looking as if she wanted to untie it. "Maiche, it seems to have a dead knot. Come and help me take a look." She had a teasing smile on her face. "Dead knots? I'm the best at untying dead knots." Toru Watanabe touched the gravity ball and lightly kicked off with his feet to float up. Miki Kujo reached out to Toru Watanabe with both hands and held his face. One on top, one on bottom, the two kissed together. While their lips were pressed together, Miki Kujo's body went down while Toru Watanabe went up. They slowly hugged each other. "I think dead knots are good," Toru Watanabe whispered. "You want to wear clothes?" Miki Kujo put her hands on his shoulders and said with a smile. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. His hand moved down from her waist, over the curve of her butt and around the front. His fingers were like opening a curtain as he gently lifted the pajamas at her thighs. Miki Kujo watched his every move with disdain. At this moment, the floating quilt drifted over gently, making Miki Kujo's legs itch. Her jade-like toes hooked the quilt and threw it back on the bed. Before Toru Watanabe's hand could start exploring, there was a thud, and the two of them began to fall. Toru Watanabe hurriedly picked up Miki Kujo and carried her in his arms as he landed straight on the ground. After a thud, the bedroom fell into dead silence. The two of them looked at each other. At some point, perhaps 3 seconds later, they laughed at the same time. "Look at what you've done." Miki Kujo punched Toru Watanabe's chest. "You're blaming me? Miki-sama, take a good look at it yourself." Toru Watanabe turned around and showed her the gravity ball that had shattered into pieces. The previously pitch-black gravity ball had turned transparent after shattering. The quilt that had pushed the gravity ball to the ground was now like a fish that had been left behind by the waves on the beach. Half of it fell lifelessly to the ground, while the other half fell on the bed. "If you had taken care of that thing of yours, how could this have happened?" Miki Kujo was determined not to admit her mistake. Yes, it's my fault." Toru Watanabe gently put her back on the bed and bent down to pick up the glass shards. They looked like glass, but he couldn't tell what material they were made of. "There's one over there, and there's one over there." Miki Kujo lay on the bed and ordered Toru Watanabe to do his work like a supervisor. "Be careful, don't step on it and hurt your feet." The gravity ball, that was worth 1,000 points was turned into scrap before it could even be used once. After cleaning up the shards, washing up, and eating a simple breakfast, the two of them took a car to school. This isn't over yet. I want the necessary compensation, Toru Watanabe said in the car. Compensation? Like this? Miki Kujo put her legs into Toru Watanabe's pants. Don't give me that. Toru Watanabe mercilessly moved her legs away. It's useless. Do you know how precious that is? Toru Watanabe said with a straight face. How precious? Miki Kujo asked. You have to wear a bunny girl once. After thinking about it, Toru Watanabe felt that this kind of compensation was too cheap for the gravity ball. So he added, I won't wear it. I'm not wearing it. Only you are wearing it. That was more or less enough. Massage my legs. Miki Kujo put her legs on Toru Watanabe's knees. About the bunny girl? Toru Watanabe asked as he stroked her pantyhose. It depends on my mood. I promise Miki that you'll be in a good mood these days. Miki Kujo sighed fakely and said, when I think about you going to Hokkaido with another woman, I can't be happy. My heart hurts. Although he really wanted to see the bunny girl Miki Kujo, the five of us are going together, and it's the first time I'm accompanying them outside of Tokyo. For the next few days, Miki Kujo interrupted him, stay by my side. No problem. Toru Watanabe originally planned to do so. 2 days before the 3rd of November, Miki Kujo and he watched a documentary about Hokkaido at the end of October, and ate all kinds of seafood specially sent from Hokkaido. I want your mind to be full of me. My mind is already full of you. On the 3rd of November, the five of them took off from Haneda Airport at 7:50 and landed at Hokkaido Hakodate Airport at 9:30. Remember to wear clothes, Aono Koizumi reminded him. It's only 8 or 9 degrees outside. What's the temperature in Tokyo? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. He only wore a baseball uniform outside with the front open. It was still red and black. Miki Kujo bought it for them to wear together. Because Miki Kujo asked several stores to send seasonal clothes regularly, Toru Watanabe now didn't have the habit of buying clothes himself. There were too many. 19 degrees, Huangzi said casually. For the 3-day and 2-night trip to Hakodate, they had done enough homework, as expected of a teacher who needed to prepare lessons. Hokkaido was very big, but they only played in Hakodate this time. First, they didn't have much time, only 3 days. Second, they had a lot of time. In a lifetime, Japan was so small, and there was no need to go to too many places at once. Look carefully, play slowly, and enjoy life. Maybe we can see the first snow, Aono Koizumi said expectantly. She wore a black trench coat over a white turtleneck sweater, a pair of high-waisted jeans, and a pair of white women's sports shoes. She looked very good. It snowed a few days ago in Sapporo. Miyazaki Miyuki changed into winter clothes, but because of this, the size of her chest was even more shocking. I'm talking about the first snow in Hakodate, Aono Koizumi emphasized. After getting off the plane, although the temperature was cold, the sky was bright, light blue, and white clouds piled up in the distant sky. Everything between heaven and earth was abnormally bright, as if it was a day in midsummer. It was a winter day suitable for walking. Hurry, hurry. The tram is coming. Huangzi pulled her suitcase and ran at the front. Just sit down. Miyazaki Miyuki hated running. Watanabe my. The sun was shining brightly, and Aono Koizumi turned back with a smile and asked the two to hurry. Under Huangzi and Aono Koizumi's urging, the five of them got on the nearest tram. It was a small tram that ran under the sun. The inside of the tram was made of wood, and it had a history of more than 100 years. The five of them sat together, and the sun shone through the retro windows and scattered on their shoes. There were only 2 white-haired elderly people sitting on the tram, and they were sitting closest to the front of the car. Come and take a picture. Huangzi took out her cell phone. Toru Watanabe made a peace sign with his right hand. Mayasahi's delicate and beautiful face leaned against his shoulder, and she made the same peace sign without any expression on her face. Toru Watanabe switched to the peace sign with his left hand. Aono Koizumi was originally leaning against Miyazaki Miyuki, but Miyazaki Miyuki pushed her away. You belong over there, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Aona Koizumi looked at Miyuki as if she was angry, but she was actually smiling, and then she leaned against Toru Watanabe. She made a peace sign with her left hand. Toru Watanabe placed the peace sign in front of his chest, but he felt that it was awkward, so he flipped over so that the back of his hand was facing the camera. Huangzi raised her camera up high, aimed at the five of them, and snapped a picture. Put your shoes together. Toru Watanabe didn't really understand why a girl would put her hands and shoes together to take a picture. 5 pairs of shoes. The sun shone on the wooden tram floor. The 2 elderly people were looking at them with gentle smiles on their faces. They first went to the hotel they booked to drop off their luggage, and then went to Gensho. There was a church group here. There was the quiet and elegant Hakodate Church, the stylish St. John's Church, and the extravagant Roman Catholic Church. Toru Watanabe once again transformed into a photographer and took excellent pictures of their trip. Not bad. You've improved so much. Huangzi praised them. I just remembered last year's study trip. Aona Koizumi chuckled. Watanabe took pictures of us at Kayamizadera. I remember now. Huangzi laughed. We only saw the buildings, and the 2 of us were squeezed in a corner like passers-by. Let's not talk about the past, Toru Watanabe hurriedly said. After admiring the church group, they continued walking towards the sea. It was Hakamenzaka. The trees on both sides of Hakamenzaka had turned a warm orange color that was close to red. At the end of Hakamenzaka was the sea, and there was a large cruise ship docked at the dock. Aona Koizumi secretly glanced at Toru Watanabe. In the movie she watched, Hakamenzaka had been used as a setting countless times. She also fantasized that one day, she would be able to walk hand in hand with Toru Watanabe like the main male and female lead. Unfortunately, she came with everyone else this time. Mai, do you want to eat seafood for lunch? Miyazaki Miyuki walked to Mayasahi's side. Yeah. There's a seafood restaurant over there. Let's go take a look. Miyazaki Miyuki held Mayasahi's arm and walked forward. Mayasahi looked back at Toru Watanabe, but at this time, they were going downhill. Once they started walking, it would be difficult to stop, not to mention that Miyazaki Miyuki was holding her hand. Aona Koizumi glanced at them, and there was only Huangzi, who was immersed in taking photos. What should I do? If we hold hands, we will be laughed at, but if we don't, maybe we will never come to Hakamenzaka again in this life. When Aona Koizumi was hesitating, Toru Watanabe suddenly held her hand. Aona Koizumi was shocked and looked up at Toru Watanabe. We can't hold hands in Tokyo, can we in Hokkaido? Toru Watanabe asked. Of course. Yeah. Aona Koizumi answered in a low voice. Teacher Huangzi, Toru Watanabe shouted. Please take a photo for us. No problem. Huangzi squatted under a tree on the side of the road and pointed her phone at the 2. Toru Watanabe didn't look at the camera, but smiled at Aona Koizumi. Aona Koizumi was embarrassed at first, but then she looked up and smiled at Toru Watanabe. Huangzi stood up as if she couldn't stand it. Hurry up and send the photo to you. Don't leave it in my phone and disgust me. It's too much to call it disgust. Toru Watanabe took out his phone. It's too disgusting. Huangzi muttered as she sent the photo. Toru Watanabe opened the photo and said to Aona Koizumi, who was holding his hand. Teacher Aonai, is it nice? Aona Koizumi looked at the photo together with Toru Watanabe. There was a ramp leading to the sea, orange trees on the side of the road, and a Western-style house with a European style behind the trees. The 2 were holding hands and looking at each other. It's nice, she whispered. It didn't take long to reach the sea on Hakamenzaka. Koizumi Aonai hoped that her and Toru Watanabe's path of happiness would be endless, and they could go on like this forever. Chapter 349. After returning from the beach, the 5 people returned to the center of the Hakoken. Where to next? Toru Watanabe asked. Let me see. Huangzi put the squid skewers in her mouth and prepared to take out the travel brochure from her shoulder bag. I'll do it. Aona Koizumi helped and took out the brochure full of homework. As a teacher and also as a girl, it's inappropriate to put food in your mouth. Yes, Aonai's mother. Huangzi replied with a long tone. Quite cute, Toru Watanabe said. Did you hear that? Tokyo's handsome man's recognition. Huangzi's tone was like a child's, but now her voice became a teenager's rude. Aonai's mother? Miyasahi tilted her head. Huangzi laughed and fell into Miyazaki Miyuki's arms. The squid sauce almost spilled on her clothes, making Miyazaki Miyuki look disgusted. Don't learn bad things from Huangzi. Aona Koizumi said funny. Toru Watanabe held Miyasahi's cold little hand and asked her, Are you cold? Miyasahi shook her head. Her face showed a happy expression, and softly held his hand. Aona Koizumi opened the travel brochure, while looking at Miyasahi with gentle eyes. According to the plan, she looked back at the brochure. Next go to Walengwo Park. Walengwo Park. Toru Watanabe repeated to Miyasahi. Walengwo Park. Miyasahi also repeated to Toru Watanabe. On the other side. Walengwo Park. Huangzi imitated Miyasahi and said to Miyazaki Miyuki. I'm warning you, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Don't dirty my clothes. Buy me a new one when you get your salary. Ha! Huangzi put on a look of disdain and pointed at herself with her thumb. Do you know who my friend is? 500 million. The new tycoon in Shinjuku. Sako. 500 million yuan. Shinjuku's new rich man, Aona Koizumi, felt very ashamed. The sky was as blue as a canvas, and the white clouds looked like Miki Kujo's casual strokes on the canvas. The weather was very good. Pentagonal Park was a pentagonal fortress surrounded by a moat. It was built for the war, and now it has become a park, a place for the citizens to relax and entertain. In spring, more than 1,600 cherry blossoms would bloom. Rowing in the moat at that time should be a unique experience. In summer, the trees were lush, and the wind blew up layers of green waves. In winter, when the sky was covered in snow, there would be a night light event called Pentagonal Star Dream. As many as 2,000 colored lights were lit up in the park, setting off the white snow. Just by imagining it, one could imagine how romantic that winter night would be. Autumn also had a unique flavor. It wasn't necessarily maple leaves, and many trees were dyed red. Walking on the bridge, strolling along the moat, and wandering on the forest path, through these autumn trees, peeking at a corner of the blue sky, the mood became particularly comfortable. Leaving the Pentagonal Park, the five people climbed the 90-meter-high Pentagonal Pagoda. The huge star-shaped city was panoramic. There were local specialties to buy, black t-shirts printed with Pentagonal Pagoda, alarm clocks, stickers, and so on. There was also a wooden sword from that era. They didn't know which era, so they said that era. They didn't buy any of these. Under Huangzi's lead, they only bought ice cream that was cold to the point of toothache, but delicious. Because they got up early to catch the plane, the first day's trip ended here. Stepping on the red sunset, the five people returned to the hotel. In order to have fun, and because of Miki Kujo's influence, Toru Watanabe paid for the hotel for 3 days. Booking the whole place so cool. Huangzi's voice. Ah! Miyazaki Miyuki's sigh of relief came through the bamboo wall. Surrounded by mist, they were in an outdoor hot spring in a traditional Japanese courtyard. There was no mixed bath for men and women. Although the hot spring wasn't big, the environment was quiet, and since they booked the whole place, there were only the few of them. Soaking in the water while enjoying the autumn scenery in the courtyard was an indescribable enjoyment. Watanabe! Huangzi shouted. Aonai said you can come over. Really? Nonsense. Aona Koizumi refuted. Actually, Huangzi and I can leave, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Yeah. If it wasn't for Toru Watanabe's excellent hearing, he wouldn't have been able to hear Miyasahi's voice. My. Aona Koizumi shouted. Can you? Huangzi asked in disbelief. Yeah. Miyasahi's voice was faint. If it's Che, anything is fine. Anything is fine, Aona Koizumi said awkwardly. Toru Watanabe was alone in the men's hot spring, listening to the sweet female voice next door, looking up at the stars in the night sky. What is Miki doing now? He couldn't help but miss her in his heart. It was the first time they were so far apart from each other since they confessed to each other. Toru Watanabe once again clearly realized how much he loved her. Looking around, it was a familiar scene. Last year, during the winter trip organized by the school, Rin Kiyono fainted in the hot spring. Closing his eyes, he saw her lying in the snow and heard her distant and ethereal singing. While soaking in the hot spring, Toru Watanabe missed the two people in Tokyo. After leaving the hot spring and putting on his bathrobe, all his thoughts returned to Aona Koizumi and Mayasahi. After soaking in the hot spring, the five people stayed in the recreation room to pass the time. Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki were playing table tennis with great interest. Their thighs were exposed, and the loose bathrobe couldn't cover the inertial movement of their breasts. After noticing this, Toru Watanabe said to Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi, "Let's play too?" In order to look at the two people. "Okay," Aona Koizumi said. "But Watanabe, you have to let me win. I know you are very good." "Yeah." Mayasahi nodded at this time, not knowing whether she agreed to play table tennis or agreed with Aona Koizumi's words. "Don't worry, I'll hit the place where it's easy to receive," Toru Watanabe said. "Aona Koizumi's is really big, Mayasahi's shape is really beautiful, the table tennis is really round." This was Toru Watanabe's impression after playing. After playing table tennis for a while, they ate the dinner prepared by the hotel, and the girls went to soak in the hot spring. Toru Watanabe returned to the luxurious Kazakage bedroom alone. He leaned on the quilt, took out his phone, and checked the photos he took today. A photo of Walengwo Park, taken on the Walengwo Pagoda, was very beautiful, and he subconsciously sent it to Miki Kujo. The moment he sent the message, he also received a photo sent by Miki Kujo. She, Rin Kiyono, Kujo Masakazu, and Kiyono's wife, the four of them gathered together to eat dinner. The table was filled with seafood that was flown in from Hokkaido that day. Obviously came to Hokkaido, but had stone cuisine for dinner, crying. JPG. Why didn't you go to Kyoto to eat stone cuisine? There's something wrong with this hotel. What did you send? Walengwo Park, is it interesting? It's okay. The conversation ended here, but Toru Watanabe was satisfied. When he sent the message to Miki Kujo also sent him a message. After the four of them finished soaking in the hot spring, they called Toru Watanabe to play cards. After soaking in the hot spring, their faces were red, and their hair was all tied up, revealing their snow-white necks. "So beautiful," Toru Watanabe praised. "Who's the most beautiful?" Miyazaki Miyuki leisurely asked like a hotel owner. Anai. Huangzi stared at Toru Watanabe to watch the fun. Toru Watanabe didn't expect to encounter a scene of carnage here. Although Mayasahi didn't care about these things, he couldn't not care. "Sensei," he asked Aona Koizumi for help. "Who's the most beautiful?" "You can't ask Sensei about everything," Aona Koizumi said with a smile. Looking at Toru Watanabe's troubled face, she said, forget it, let's play cards quickly." Since they didn't gamble, the loser had to stick a note on their faces. Toru Watanabe decided to stick a note on Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki's faces. When the game just started, Mayasahi, who was sitting next to Toru Watanabe, stretched out her white and delicate feet, and put them together with Toru Watanabe's feet. Compared to Toru Watanabe's, her feet were petite and cute. In the middle of the game, Aona Koizumi, who was sitting on the other side of Toru Watanabe, noticed. She quietly put her left hand under the table, and gently scratched Toru Watanabe's other foot twice. Toru Watanabe's feet were so itchy that he couldn't help but scratch them. Looking at Miyazaki Miyuki and Huangzi, who didn't know anything, Toru Watanabe put down his right hand and scratched Aona Koizumi's foot. Aona Koizumi was even more unbearable. Because of the itch and her shyness, her body swayed a little. "What's wrong?" Huangzi asked. "It's nothing." Aona Koizumi grabbed Toru Watanabe's right hand with her left hand, and tried to act as if nothing was wrong. "My feet are a little numb." Miyazaki Miyuki looked at her meaningfully, making Aona Koizumi blush. "Why is your face red?" Huangzi asked with concern. "Isn't the air conditioner a little too high?" Aona Koizumi retracted her left hand and pretended to fan herself. "Did you catch a cold in the hot spring?" Huangzi said. "Take a pill when you sleep as a precaution." "Yeah. Sensei, it's your turn. Toru Watanabe reminded her. What? Oh, okay. Aona Koizumi looked at the cards in her hand, hesitating what to play. At this time, Toru Watanabe used his middle finger to brush the bottom of her foot like a feather. Ah! Caught off guard, Aona Koizumi couldn't help but cry out. What? We're still here. This time, Huangzi also realized that something was wrong. Tomorrow morning they would go to the Hakodate Asahi and play until 11 o'clock. This was Miyazaki Miyuki and Huangzi's room. Toru Watanabe, Miyazaki, and Aona Koizumi separated in the hallway. Good night, Aona Koizumi said. Good night, Toru Watanabe replied. Aona Koizumi took 2 steps forward and found that Miyazaki didn't follow. She looked back at Miyazaki, who was standing beside Toru Watanabe. I'll go back later, Miyazaki said. Aona Koizumi was shocked. She wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. She knew about Miyazaki and Toru Watanabe, but this was too bold. Senpai. Toru Watanabe was also shocked. Can't I? Miyazaki tilted her pretty face, her clear eyes looking at Toru Watanabe. It's not that you can't. I'll go back first. I'll make the bed and wait for you. Aona Koizumi said incoherently. Okay. Miyazaki nodded. Aona Koizumi quickened her pace, swaying her graceful body, and disappeared in the corridor. Miyazaki's body gave off a pleasant light fragrance. She lay down, letting Toru Watanabe explore back and forth. Soon her body became stiff, her breathing stopped, and her legs moved with all their might. Then at some point she suddenly caught her breath, and her chest began to rise and fall violently. Senpai, Toru Watanabe whispered in her ear. Okay. Miyazaki's snow-white arms hugged Toru Watanabe tightly, not letting go. The two of them lay down and rested for a while. Get up and take a shower. Toru Watanabe stroked her soft face. Miyazaki opened her eyes. Again? Senpai and I might still be waiting for you when we return to Tokyo. Before Toru Watanabe could finish his words, Miyazaki rode on him, her thin and soft hair swaying gently. Phew. Toru Watanabe took a deep breath and intertwined his fingers with hers. In the future, Toru Watanabe probably couldn't watch Miyazaki ride a horse. Miyazaki fell forward and hugged Toru Watanabe's neck tightly again. Toru Watanabe still let her lie in his arms, gently stroking her hot body. After resting for a while, he patted her smooth back. It's late. Miyazaki shook her head, her hair brushing Toru Watanabe's face. It was a little itchy, but her heart was very warm. After resting for a while, Toru Watanabe said, It's really late. Miyazaki's thin and soft lips bit Toru Watanabe's ear. Don't you want to go? Toru Watanabe's hand started from her shoulder, along the curve of her back, all the way to her buttocks, and then again from her shoulder to her buttocks. Miyazaki let go of his lips, still didn't speak, and shook her head again. Neither of them spoke, waiting quietly for a while. Toru Watanabe forced himself to sit up. Senpai, it's really time to go back, he said to Miyazaki, who was lying on her back on the quilt. Miyazaki turned over and lay on the quilt. Toru. She turned around and shouted. Toru Watanabe was behind her. Aona Koizumi returned to her room, leaned against the door, and pressed down on her beating heart. After a while, she walked to the bedroom and found that the quilt was already made. Only then did she remember that at Breeze Hotel, the female staff would make the quilt in advance. With nothing to do, she sat in the tea room for a while and poured herself a cup of tea. From what she learned from Miyazaki Miyuki, she only needed to drink for 10 minutes and Miyazaki would be back. She took a sip of tea and glanced at her phone. Time was passing very slowly. She put her phone somewhere out of her reach, looked at the autumn scenery outside the window, and drank her tea quietly while waiting. Although she said it was quiet, her mind was in chaos. Miyazaki Miyuki said that she saw on TV, the male and female leads were replaced by Toru Watanabe and Miyazaki, and all kinds of scenes played out one after another. When she came back to her senses, she finished her tea. She hurriedly looked at her phone, and found that 11 minutes had passed. Miyazaki hadn't returned yet. Don't worry, Aonai. Miyazaki Miyuki said that it usually takes 10 to 20 minutes. Aona Koizumi poured another cup of tea. This time, she didn't drink for long, and couldn't help but take her phone, casually looking at the photos from the day while waiting. Not to mention 20 minutes. My Asahi still hadn't returned after 12 o'clock. Is he sleeping over there? She couldn't help but think. She had already waited for an hour, and sitting like this wasn't a solution, so she simply lay down on the bed. Miyazaki Miyuki and Huangzi's words appeared in her mind again and again. There's no man who doesn't want a woman's body. Since I've decided to be with him, I have to hold on to him tightly. Don't let Kujo and Mai take him away. She tossed and turned, and no matter how she changed her sleeping position, she still felt uncomfortable. She had already remembered these words in her heart. At the beginning, she only wanted to hold Toru Watanabe's hand and hug him, and then it developed to kissing and touching his body through their clothes. But she didn't think of anything further. Toru Watanabe often lied to her, took the opportunity to kiss her, and occasionally did bad things, disregarding her dignity as a teacher, and did some excessive things. But as long as she really didn't want to, he would definitely not do it. Is it because of them that he can endure not doing anything to me? Aona Koizumi began to feel angry for no reason. Suddenly she thought, isn't this a good thing? I didn't want to do it in the first place. But she wanted him to do something to her. Aona Koizumi opened her eyes, and as if she had just crawled out of the bed, she let out a long breath. It was decided. At 1 o'clock, my Asahi came back. Aona Koizumi observed her expression and walking posture as if nothing had happened. When my Asahi lay down, she said, "Turn off the lights?" Yes. My Asahi lay quietly in bed. With a click, the bedroom fell into darkness, and only the paper lamp at the bedside lit up weakly. Yes. Tomorrow, I want to accompany Watanabe. My Asahi turned to look at Aona Koizumi, whose back was facing her, and asked, together? No. Wait. Aona Koizumi sat up in shock and turned to look at her. I mean, tomorrow I'll be like you today? Oh. My Asahi turned back and looked at the wooden ceiling. Can I? Aona Koizumi asked again, worried. I'll be alone. Yes. After a pause, my Asahi said again. I'll wait for you to come back. You don't have to wait. That's fine too. Are you going to sleep with Toru? My Asahi turned to look at her again. No, forget it. Aona Koizumi lay back down and covered her neck with the blanket. My Asahi looked at her in confusion and asked, Are you still going tomorrow? Yes. Chapter 350. November 4th, 5 o'clock in the morning. The sky in Hakodate was still dark, and a beam of light shone on the signboard of the hotel. Toru Watanabe kept running until he reached a narrow estuary in the south, and then he ran back. Every time he ran, he would think of every morning in Shinjuku, sitting alone in front of the steps of the Suka shrine, and smelling the smell of soda in the summer. In front of the hotel, the words Bamboo Leaf Pavilion could be seen from far away. Good morning, guest. Walking into the wooden building, the staff in kimono came up to greet him. Good morning. Toru Watanabe said. I thought you went to see the morning market, but it turns out you went for a morning run. The young waitress had a happy smile on her face. This is the first time I've seen a guest running in the morning. Another waitress said. I had no choice. Toru Watanabe said. What's wrong? Did you not sleep well? That's not it. I slept very comfortably. It's just that when we first started dating, because of my weak physical strength, I was bullied by my girlfriend every day, so I started running. Really? Several waitresses were surprised and said that he was indeed a woman from Tokyo. Are you still bullied now? The first waitress who greeted Toru Watanabe asked. Toru Watanabe nodded. Morning runs seem to be useless. Guest, you look like a person who loves his girlfriend very much. Everyone talked at once. In addition to the smell of their bodies, Toru Watanabe also smelled the faint woody fragrance of the hotel itself. I don't know if Kiyono has woken up, but Miki must still be sleeping, this lazy and cute woman. After 6 o'clock, Aona Koizumi, my Asahi, and others woke up one after another. In order to eat the fresh seafood of the morning market, Everyone gave up the sumptuous breakfast of the hotel. Huang Zi's face was full of pain. Before arriving at the morning market, he kept saying, "It's a loss." At 6 or 7 o'clock, the sky in Hakodate was bright, and the morning market was already in full swing. In the water tank, there were ugly live fish. The crab leg, which was almost half the length of Xiaoyan's body, was placed on the ice. Clear and clean sea urchins with bowl-shaped shells, 1,000 grams per serving. Cut into pieces, half of the body can fit into a box of Northern Ocean red salmon. A box of 3,000 to 5,000 yuan. Toru Watanabe's squid, which was the size of 2 palms, sizzled when placed on a metal plate. The whole squid was sold for 1,500 renminbi. On the dinner plate, the eels were skewered into a bed and smeared with sauce, 700 yuan a skewer. Ho ho ho! Huangzi let out a strange laugh and pulled out a crab leg. It was thick, long, and white. With a casual bite, the crab meat immediately filled his mouth. She narrowed her eyes, her face full of happiness. I don't understand what you're saying. Let's talk after we finish eating. Miyazaki Miyuki's face was filled with disdain. You can also fish for squid here. Huangzi pointed at the squid shop while eating a crab leg. Let's go and play. Toru Watanabe said. Huangzi nodded vigorously. Miyazaki Miyuki, Huangzi, and Toru Watanabe each took a mini fishing rod. Senpai. Toru Watanabe turned his head and asked Miyazaki with a smile. Do you want to play? Just like Yuji in Kyoto, where he only went once, he couldn't control himself and would laugh whenever he wanted to. I don't know how to. Miyazaki said. I'll teach you. Toru Watanabe handed the fishing rod to her, held her soft little hand, and put the bait into the water tank together. Let's see who catches it first. The loser pays the bill. Huangzi said. No problem. Miyazaki Miyuki nodded. You guys get ready to pay. Toru Watanabe was high-spirited. Senpai, don't worry. I've caught tuna in the Pacific Ocean that was taller than a person. Miyazaki wasn't interested in fishing for squid, but she was very happy to be able to fish for squid with Toru Watanabe. Aonai, help me get the crab leg. Huangzi rolled up his sweater sleeves. Today I'll let you know how powerful Senpai is. Have you seen The Old Man and the Sea? It's based on me. Toru Watanabe didn't want to be outdone. Young man, Miyazaki Miyuki said. I'm now suspicious of you fishing for tuna. This kid must be lying. Huangzi said with certainty. Senpai, do you believe me? I believe. Ha. Miyazaki Miyuki pulled the mini fishing rod and a squid hung on it. Senpai, Toru Watanabe said with a serious face. Next time, let's go fishing for tuna. Che. Miyazaki tilted her head, and her hair swayed with it. I want to fish for squid. Okay, let's fish for squid. Miyazaki looked at Toru Watanabe and showed a happy and bright smile. Looking at her like this, Toru Watanabe also smiled from the bottom of his heart. Aona Koizumi looked at them from behind. She knew that this was normal, and that Toru Watanabe was taking care of Miyazaki, but she couldn't help but attribute it to what happened last night. Sure enough, people would unconsciously prefer people with deep relationships. Aona Koizumi took a deep breath. The squid that was caught was processed by the boss, and it became a squid ring in a few minutes. The translucent meat was placed on a small silver plate. To Toru Watanabe's taste, he didn't have any desire to eat it. After walking around, they found a seafood restaurant. They ate tuna rice, sea urchin rice, and king crab leg rice. The tuna meat was piled up into a small hill, and there were so many crab legs that one couldn't see the rice. When Toru Watanabe saw this, he thought of Miki Kujo. 2 days before they came, she had used various methods to let Toru Watanabe taste Hokkaido's seafood rice. Huangzi-sensei, Toru Watanabe asked, where are we going today? Yesterday's trip was in the city, today it's the mountain. Huangzi said while eating. During the day they were going to Mount Hui, and at night, they were going to Mount Hakodate. Mount Hui was located in Mount Hui Park, and it was only 618 meters above sea level. It could be reached by walking for an hour. Before starting the climb, they stayed at the Shueibwa hot spring near Mount Hui. This was a very magical hot spring. It was directly connected to the sea by the beach, and it was only surrounded by rocks. Although the weather was good that day, the cold wind by the sea was still very cold, and it took away people's body temperature. But in the hot spring, there were many people wearing swimsuits soaking in it. The magic of nature is amazing. Miyazaki Miyuki sighed. As for Huangzi, she had already pulled my Asahi to a relatively small pool, took off her socks and began to soak her feet. The water temperature is just right. Come here. Huangzi held her socks with her left hand and waved with her right hand. Soaking your feet is good for the body, let's go. Miyazaki Miyuki said and took the lead. When she walked a little farther, Toru Watanabe whispered to Aona Koizumi beside him. What's wrong? Aona Koizumi came back to her senses. You've been acting silly since this morning, Toru Watanabe said. Who are you calling silly? Aona Koizumi pretended to hit him. Toru Watanabe smiled and dodged. Are you angry? Because of what happened last night? No. Teacher Aonai, if you have any dissatisfaction, or don't like what I do, you must say it. Don't keep it in your heart and force yourself to get used to me. Don't worry. Aona Koizumi smiled. Communication. You must maintain communication. This is the secret of a long-term relationship. Toru Watanabe smiled. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi looked at the vast sea. Toru Watanabe raised his hand and tucked her hair, which was blown by the sea breeze, behind her ears. Her delicate ears were white and transparent under the sun. He waited for a while, but Aona Koizumi still didn't say anything. What's wrong? He asked curiously. No, nothing. Aona Koizumi raised her hand to tuck her hair. Halfway through, she remembered that Toru Watanabe had already done it. Let's go to the hot spring. It looks interesting. Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to speak, she said as she walked to the pile of rocks by the sea. She wasn't angry or unhappy. It was just that when she thought about what was going to happen tonight, her heart was beating so fast that it felt like it was going to jump out of her body. The memories of using Toru Watanabe's body kept appearing in her mind. The toilet, the bathroom, and half an hour in the cloakroom. At the age of 26, it was the first time in her life that she had such a fantasy. This kind of thing. How could she maintain communication like Toru Watanabe said? After leaving Mount Hui, the five of them headed towards Mount Hui. From afar, the peak of the mountain was like the surface of the moon. It was bare and there was nothing. But apart from the peak, the rest of the mountain was covered in red maple. Mount Hui was an active volcano that was still steaming. In the place where the white smoke lingered, there was a danger sign written in Chinese characters. In the fog, there were geological explorers. Ignoring their safety helmets, it was a bit like the scene in the Heavenly Palace. There was no grass at all. The place was full of rocks. With the geological explorers, the white smoke, and the danger sign as the background, the five of them took several photos. Aozi blew with the wind, as if she was the one who blew the white smoke. Aona Koizumi cutely made a gesture of introducing the scene. She felt that she would be very popular as a reporter. Miyazaki Miyuki sat on a rock and looked at the camera. This was purely because she was tired. My Asahi squatted in the white sand with a white stone in her hand. She looked at the camera in a daze. This was Toru Watanabe's shot. After leaving Mount Hui, they found a restaurant to eat seafood. Toru Watanabe had eaten seafood for 4 days in a row. Suddenly, he was glad that the hotel he booked was a Japanese-style hotel. In the afternoon, it was time for girls to go shopping. Tokyo clearly had everything, but they still couldn't do anything about the cosmetics stores in Muji. Toru Watanabe sat on the sofa and lived the life of a middle-aged man with a woman's bag. While waiting, he slipped away and bought a dodafu and a piece of toryu. The middle-aged man next door got up and left. After a while, he came back with a piece of toryu in his hand. For dinner, they found a restaurant where they could see the sunset in the sea. After that, they went to Mount Hakodate to see the night view. The night view of Mount Hakodate was known as one of the 3 great night views in the world. It had the honor of 1 million night views. The round-trip ticket was 1,500 yuan per person. As the cable car slowly rose higher and higher, the street lights shone and the rooms were brightly lit. The appearance of Hakodate gradually appeared. When they reached an altitude of 334 meters above sea level, the November wind of Mount Hakodate was biting cold, especially at night, accompanied by the sea breeze. When they approached the window step by step and looked at the bright yellow lights that lit up the entire bay of Hakodate, they instantly felt that everything was worth it. After admiring the night view, everyone was already unbearably cold when they went down the mountain. Toru Watanabe saw that Aona Koizumi's ears were red and reached out to cover them for her. Aona Koizumi turned around and glanced at him with a blissful and somewhat embarrassed smile on her face. Tsk tisk. Huangzi couldn't help but click his tongue. He rolled his eyes and grabbed Miyazaki Miyuki's hand to cover his ears. Masahi looked at everyone, and also reached out to cover Toru Watanabe's ears. Senpai, I'm not cold. Toru Watanabe said. Let go, it's hard to walk like this. Miyazaki Miyuki said to Huangzi. The passing tourists were either curious, warm, or looked at them as if they were crazy. After going down Mount Hakodate, the five of them ran to the gourmet street by the canal, and went into a barbecued lamb shop. Toru Watanabe was in charge of barbecuing. Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki ate happily. Masahi was wearing the hat that Toru Watanabe had just bought for her. It was white, fluffy, and had two cute little balls. Aona Koizumi looked at her calm little face and the cute hat. She felt that Toru Watanabe bought her this hat because it looked fun. Aonai, hurry up and eat. Huangzi called out. Okay. Aona Koizumi wasn't in the mood to taste the lamb at all. As the sky got darker, she became more nervous. After eating, everyone planned to go back to the hotel to soak in the hot spring, but she suggested to go to Fragrant Snow Garden to admire the night maple. The path of red leaves was about 100 meters long. Under the illumination of the light, there were layers upon layers of different shades. With the help of the light, the red leaves swayed in the dark night wind, as if they were even more gorgeous than under the sunlight. The ground was covered with fallen leaves. Walking on it, Aona Koizumi relaxed a little. But as soon as she heard Toru Watanabe's voice, or saw him giving birth, her heart began to beat loudly again. The long, seemingly short day was finally coming to an end. After returning to the hotel and soaking in the hot spring, Aona Koizumi wanted to play for a while and stall for time. Unexpectedly, Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki said that they were too tired and wanted to rest early. So early? She looked at the two of them in surprise. We woke up before 6, climbed the mountain, went shopping, and even went up the mountain at night. How can we not be tired? Huangzi said. When did your stamina become so good? Miyazaki Miyuki asked. Hearing them say that, Aona Koizumi realized that today was indeed a full day. Okay, good night. After leaving the room, she put her hand on her chest. Through the thin bathrobe, she could feel her heart beating and her body trembling. I'll go back first. Masahi said lightly. Okay. Aona Koizumi even felt that her voice was trembling. After Masahi left, she took a deep breath and walked towards Toru Watanabe's bedroom. Mesa Watanabe was reading a book about the icy Hokkaido. When he heard a knock on the door, he put the book on the tatami and walked over. When he opened the door, he saw Aona Koizumi with a nervous expression. Aonai-sensei? Toru Watanabe asked. What's wrong? Aona Koizumi didn't say anything. She just lowered her head, lifted the edge of her bathrobe, and squeezed past Toru Watanabe into the room. Toru Watanabe slowly closed the door. When he walked back, Aona Koizumi was already kneeling by the bedding. His heart began to beat faster. He understood why Aona Koizumi came in the middle of the night. He wasn't in a hurry. Aona Koizumi was nervous, so he couldn't be nervous either. Can't sleep? He asked. Yeah. Aona Koizumi took the book that was upside down. She repeatedly read a line, or she didn't read a single line. Toru Watanabe went to the tea room and poured her a cup of tea. Thank you. Aona Koizumi put down the book, held the tea with both hands, and took small sips. We're going back tomorrow. Toru Watanabe took the book and flipped through 2 pages. Okay. Aona Koizumi stared at the tea, as if she was trying to figure out why some leaves could be tea and some couldn't. How about next time? When it's snowing? Okay. After a pause, Aona Koizumi added. Okay. Toru Watanabe stopped flipping through the book and looked at her. Young teacher, you haven't given me the reward for the first place in October. Aona Koizumi didn't say anything. She just drank her tea. Toru Watanabe closed the book and put it aside. Then he took Aona Koizumi's teacup. May I? He looked into her eyes. Yeah. Toru Watanabe held Aona Koizumi's round shoulders with both hands and moved his lips closer. Aona Koizumi slowly closed her eyes. Her heart was beating like thunder. But when their lips overlapped, she couldn't hear anything. After a brief taste, Toru Watanabe left her lips. He admired Aona Koizumi. Aona Koizumi still let him look at her. A white bathrobe with green bamboo printed on it. A streamer was tied around her slender waist. May I? Toru Watanabe's breathing was slightly hurried. Yeah. Aona Koizumi gave an affirmative answer again. Toru Watanabe's hands on her shoulders moved down her arms, together with her bathrobe. The silk bathrobe was smooth and separated from her shoulders. The neckline turned into a V-shape, revealing her delicate collarbone and a touch of seductive snow white. Under the light, Aona Koizumi's body trembled slightly. She subconsciously reached out and grabbed the collar of the bathrobe to stop it from moving down. Aonai, Toru Watanabe called softly. He took her hand and kissed it. From her fair skin to her collarbone, and finally back to her lips. This time was different from the gentleness just now. It was slightly rough. Intoxicated by the intense kiss, Aona Koizumi's body slowly lost strength. Toru Watanabe didn't hug her. Instead, he guided her gently to lie down on the bedding. His lips sucked more and more roughly. Aona Koizumi finally gave in. She tightly hugged Toru Watanabe's neck and began to respond. Toru Watanabe's hands didn't stay idle. He rubbed her chest and slowly moved down. He gently separated the bathrobe and stroked her round and soft thighs. Aona Koizumi seemed to be ticklish, but also seemed to be comfortable. She bent her legs for a while, and then straightened them again. His hands moved up again. With the faint sound of the rope rubbing, the belt around Aona Koizumi's waist was untied. Toru Watanabe moved slightly away from Aona Koizumi and separated the bathrobe from both sides. Round and full breasts, slender waist, snow-white thighs, and sexy underwear that was just right. Don't look! Aona Koizumi softly shouted. Her left hand covered her upper body, and her right hand covered her lower body. Can you let me see? Toru Watanabe didn't use brute force. Instead, he gently begged. After a moment of silence, Aona Koizumi's left hand moved up to cover her eyes. Her right hand moved away and nervously grabbed the bedding. Their breathing gradually became rapid. Toru Watanabe exerted force. Aona Koizumi softly called out. Their bodies were completely overlapped. Aona Koizumi didn't have a trace of fear. Instead, she felt at ease. I like you, she whispered with passionate feelings. Chapter 351. On November 4th, late at night in Hokkaido, Toru Watanabe snuggled up to Aona Koizumi's white and warm chest. Aona Koizumi's fingers gently stroked his hair. The surroundings were silent, and Toru Watanabe gradually came back to his senses. Teacher Aonai, is it okay? It's okay. Aona Koizumi's face was red. Toru Watanabe murmured softly, and added with a smile. It seems to be too late to ask now. After a moment of silence, Koizumi Aonai's murmur was heard. I have calculated my own menstrual cycle. Toru Watanabe froze for a moment and raised his head. Aona Koizumi turned her face away, showing him the side of her face and ears that were dyed red. I see, he said. When he asked whether it was okay, it was we agreed to wait for him to graduate, but he did it ahead of time. Is it okay? Not the matter related to menstrual cycles. But that was indeed something that needed to be paid attention to. He lowered his head again and used his face to feel Aona Koizumi's soft and warm skin. I love you, Aonai. I love you too. Aona Koizumi hugged Toru Watanabe tightly. I've loved you since I was 16. Toru Watanabe straightened up and hugged her back. Aona Koizumi lay in Toru Watanabe's arms and stroked his cheek, as if to confirm whether this was reality or a dream. In a trance, Toru Watanabe saw Aona Koizumi in her school uniform again. Aona Koizumi when she was 16 years old. He wanted to give her a hug when she was 16 years old. He wanted to hold her hand and spend his youth with her. What's wrong? Aona Koizumi noticed Toru Watanabe's expression. I remember you when you were 16. Toru Watanabe said. I will keep that letter forever. It doesn't matter if you throw it away. Aona Koizumi pouted. Back then, she had written such a sentimental letter. Back then, she had left, leaving the current her feeling embarrassed, even though she was the one who had written that letter. But what about sneaking a peek at Toru Watanabe? What going to Tokyo? Just thinking about it in your heart is enough. Really. Along with the shame and awkwardness, her heart was filled with happiness and tranquility. 10 years. She had forgotten about Toru Watanabe and the events of that month. She still hadn't fallen in love with anyone, but her dream had finally come true. Teacher, can you tell me what happened after you went back? Yes. Aona Koizumi's high school life was very boring. If it weren't for Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki, it would have been so boring that she could use the phrase studying while eating to describe it. With Huangzi and Miyazaki Miyuki, the three of them studied together. When they were tired, they would climb up the mountain with a flashlight and shout. Shout what? Toru Watanabe asked. Just words that I used to vent when I was under a lot of pressure. Thinking about the past, Aona Koizumi's face revealed a smile. She still remembered that the first time she had climbed up the mountain to shout, she had worn sandals. When they came down the mountain, the three of them had broken their feet. Later, she had learned to wear sport shoes. Words to vent? Tell me about it. It's very normal. You can think of it. I don't have any pressure to study. I don't know what it's like normally. Aona Koizumi clenched her fists and punched Toru Watanabe's chest in dissatisfaction. I must go to Tokyo. I want to go to Tokyo University. Go to hell mathematics, and so on, she said. That is Huangzi-sensei, right? Toru Watanabe confirmed. Aona Koizumi punched him again. I remember now. Toru Watanabe reacted. The 16-year-old Aonai classmate is a very tough girl, so I was her. She's not tough. Being together with Toru Watanabe like this, Aona Koizumi felt as if she was 16 years old again. In sensei's words, I'm just a bit free and undisciplined. Free? What you did to my body in the walk-in closet counts as free? Toru Watanabe asked with a smile. You know. Aona Koizumi suddenly raised her upper body. Know what? Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. I already heard it. Humph, so what if you know? Aona Koizumi's face was red. She decided to go all out and reach down. I did it. What do you want? Sensei, pay attention to your image. Gentle? The main point? Yes, just nice. Sensei, you're a genius. How can there be a genius in this area? On November 5th, Toru Watanabe woke up and gently woke up Aona Koizumi in his arms. She wanted to go back last night, but Toru Watanabe asked her to stay. The two of them agreed to wake her up when Toru Watanabe went for a morning run, so that she could return to her room before the others woke up. What time is it? Aona Koizumi was lying in the quilt. Her eyes were hazy and she looked very cute. 5 o'clock. Toru Watanabe heard other voices. It's snowing outside. It's snowing? Aona Koizumi's sleepiness instantly disappeared. It's the first snow in Hakodate this year. Didn't it snow in Hakodate at the beginning of the year? That's the first snow today, right? Toru Watanabe asked. You're so annoying. Aona Koizumi rolled her eyes at him, and then got up happily. On the tatami, the cup of tea she drank last night was overturned. Her bathrobe was casually thrown aside. Toru Watanabe's book had somehow run to the edge of the bedroom. When she bent down to pick up the bathrobe, Aona Koizumi's memory gradually became clear. When she was distracted last night, she seemed to have kicked something. I kicked it away? She couldn't bear the shame. Putting on the bathrobe, she walked to the window and lifted a corner of the curtain without even tying her belt. In the dark night sky, sparkling snowflakes slowly fell from the sky with the help of the hotel's lights. From behind her long hair, Toru Watanabe admired Aona Koizumi's slender waist and buttocks. His heart began to boil again. He got up and left the bed. He walked behind Aona Koizumi and hugged her waist with both hands. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi wanted to grab his hand, but her legs were weak. She could only hold on to the window frame. Shoo! Toru Watanabe breathed into her ear. It's so quiet. If you shout, others will hear you. Because he tried his best to lower his voice was slightly hoarse. Or perhaps it was because Aona Koizumi's gradually warming and moisturizing body that his voice was hoarse. Aona Koizumi spread her legs slightly, her shoulders undulating. Toru Watanabe's movements gradually slowed down. It's done. They're about to wake up. Aona Koizumi said while panting. Teacher Aonai, when we go back, can you wear the school uniform? No. Aona Koizumi put on her underwear and said firmly. It seemed that this fun had to be left for the bright future. Aona Koizumi put on her bathrobe, helped Toru Watanabe tidy up the bedding and room, and left carefully. Toru Watanabe took a shower, changed his clothes, and went out for a morning run. This morning, the five of them enjoyed a sumptuous breakfast at the hotel. Aona, you're so slow, Huangzi said to Aona Koizumi, who was the last to arrive at the restaurant. Sorry, Aona Koizumi said with a smile. The simple syllables seemed to be accompanied by a bright and lively melody, full of vitality. When she sat down next to Toru Watanabe, it was like a refreshing morning breeze blowing in from the window. Watanabe, do you want orange juice or milk? Her voice was full of vitality. Orange juice. Aona Koizumi's actions of pouring orange juice into the cup were also smooth and clean. What's wrong? Huangzi looked at her curiously. He felt that she was in a particularly good mood, her face glowing. Aona Koizumi asked in confusion, and then said to Mayasahi, what about you? Milk. Okay. Does the snow make you that happy? Huangzi didn't understand. It has nothing to do with the snow. Miyazaki Miyuki poured milk for herself. Then why? Huangzi turned to look at Miyazaki Miyuki. You'll know when you have a boyfriend. What do you mean? Are you looking down on me? I have a lot of suitors too, okay? Also, if it wasn't for eating, living, sleeping, and even working with you guys, would I be single until now? Milk orange juice. Miyazaki Miyuki completely ignored what Huangzi was saying and asked directly. Milk. Huangzi answered. Miyazaki Miyuki poured milk for Huangzi. After enjoying a sumptuous breakfast, before returning to Tokyo, the five of them pulled their luggage and held umbrellas, and went to a place called Romance Pavilion. The interior was like a huge warehouse used to park airplanes. Under the bright ceiling lights, there were tables, and each table had a small mountain of ornaments on it. There were all kinds of music boxes, glass products, and so on, and it was a dazzling sight. The girls were dazzled. Toru Watanabe also bought two things. A green frog sitting on a white toilet bowl, and a pink pig carrying the green frog. After coming out of the Romance Pavilion, the five of them went to the airport and left Hokkaido, where they had stayed for 3 days, in the early snow of Hakodate. It's time to go to work again. As soon as the plane took off, Huangzi immediately lost his energy. Come again in winter. Aona Koizumi said softly with a smile. I want to see the red-faced monkey in the hot spring, and also ski. Let's go to the northernmost part of Hokkaido. As Huangzi made plans for their next trip, everyone fell asleep. In November, the highest daily temperature in Tokyo was still 20 degrees. There was no need to wear sweaters and hats like in Hakodate. However, in terms of air quality, it was worse than Hokkaido, which was vast and sparsely populated. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if Godzilla emerged from Tokyo Bay. Toru Watanabe was on his way to Kamibocho. After telling the taxi driver the address, he remembered to confirm whether Miki Kujo was in Kamibocho. What if she was with Kujo Masako, or Kiyono Yuko, or with Rin Kiyono? Miki, I'm back. He dialed the phone. Yeah. Miki Kujo's voice was lazy. Just got up. It's almost afternoon now. Got it? She yawned. I'm going to Kamibocho now. If you have the time to call, you might as well take the car back earlier. I'm already in the car. When they arrived at the villa, Toru Watanabe got out of the car and hurried inside. For the first time, he didn't respond to the maid's greetings. In the yard, Rose was still blooming, and Queen was chattering on the banana tree. Walking into the living room, Miki Kujo was slowly walking down from the second floor. Miki. Toru Watanabe ran forward and hugged her. What are you doing? Miki Kujo turned her face away in disgust. I miss you. We've only been apart for 2 days. I miss you. Are you a child who can't leave her mother? I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. After a pause, Miki Kujo asked sarcastically, how much do you miss me? When I see something fun, I want you to see it too. When I eat something delicious, I want you to taste it too. I imagine your reaction. Whether you like it as much as I do, whether you're happy. Useless. Yeah. Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo's slender body tightly and sniffed her scent. Now, I want to share everything with you. I can't leave you anymore. Miki Kujo's face was full of disdain. What a fool. She hugged Toru Watanabe's waist with both hands. I miss you too. They had only been apart for 2 days, but it felt like a long time. There were several times when she wanted to fly to him or call him, regardless of his mood, and order him to come back immediately. Toru Watanabe searched for Miki Kujo's lips. You want to do it here? Miki Kujo's nostalgic snow-white fingers covered his lips. Although the maids in the living room weren't looking at them, they could feel how much they cared about the two of them. Back to the room. Toru Watanabe carried his princess, Miki Kujo. The two of them faced each other gently, looking at each other as they whispered sweet nothings to each other, immersed in the faint joy of love. Tell me about the past few days. Miki Kujo's tone was relaxed. When Toru Watanabe wasn't here, she felt like she wasn't herself anymore. She was just an empty shell. Until he came back, the empty shell finally had a physical body. We got off the plane at 9 in the morning. Let's go first. Toru Watanabe roughly told her what happened in Hokkaido. He didn't skip over the 2 nights, but simply told her what happened. You're quite happy. 2 nights, 2 people. Miki Kujo said sarcastically. I know you won't be happy if I tell you, but I don't want to hide it from you. Toru Watanabe stroked her delicate little face. What should I do? Don't tell me about the 2 of them in the future. I can't be bothered to listen. Miki Kujo leaned into his arms. Okay. You have to report to me about Ling, and you have to be specific about every word. There's nothing between me and her. You miss me so much, but you don't miss her. Miki Kujo turned over and straddled Toru Watanabe. She used her hair to tickle his face. It's itchy. Toru Watanabe reached out to remove her hair. Don't move. Miki Kujo pressed his hand down and ordered. This is your punishment. Toru Watanabe had to resist the itch on his face. Do you want to hear the truth or happy words? Just say it. I do, of course I do. Toru Watanabe said. But she's different from you. How are we different? Miki Kujo gently stroked his lips with her hair. It was the first time Toru Watanabe knew that his lips were ticklish. No matter how good our relationship is, she's a friend after all. I can only think about her for a while, and then immediately divert my attention. But you and I are on the same side, so I can think about you as much as I want. I know that the more I think about you, the more I miss you. If you miss me so much, why didn't I see you call me? Miki Kujo sneered. It's rare for me to be with my senpai and Seinai senpai. I thought it would be better if I didn't call you. But on the first night, I still couldn't help but send you a photo. When you're with me, you secretly send photos to other women. Absolutely not. Because it was too itchy, Toru Watanabe sucked Miki Kujo's hair. Miki Kujo looked at him in disdain and said, You didn't miss me the next night? I did. Toru Watanabe told the truth. On the first night, didn't we both send messages to each other? So on the second day, I wanted to wait for you to send it to me first. He took the hair out of his mouth and looked up at Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo looked down at him, her eyes filled with dense thoughts and joy. Toru Watanabe continued. Although I didn't send it, while waiting, I've already thought about the content of our next conversation. I'll use "Do you miss me?" as the opening line. And then we'll quarrel about, does sending a message first mean that we miss each other more? Not to the extent of quarreling. Toru Watanabe laughed. You think so too? Yeah, it's a pity that after waiting for an entire night, I didn't receive any news from a certain someone. Seinai-senpai came halfway. So you forgot about me? I apologize. Miki Kujo got down from Toru Watanabe's body and lay on her side on the bed. She pointed to the bedroom's cloakroom and said, "Go pick a dress and put it on." Ha. Miki, you weren't like this before. You used to be so cute. I learned it from Ling. Thinking about it carefully, your punishment is indeed a reward. From today onwards, I'm really going to punish you. This girl, I'm going to have a good chat with her. My most favorite Chikuan. Go, they're all beautiful dresses. The naked Miki Kujo pulled the blanket over her charming lower abdomen. Miki, let me say one sentence, just one sentence. No, Miki Kujo said with a smile, then ordered with a cold face, go. Her slender legs pressed against Toru Watanabe's body and pushed him off the bed. Wearing his girlfriend's clothes doesn't count as female clothing, right? Chapter 352. On November 5th, Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo didn't come out of the bedroom until dusk. What do you want to eat? Miki Kujo came down the stairs for the second time today. Let's go out and eat. We can go out for a walk. Toru Watanabe twisted his shoulders. What's wrong? Miki Kujo noticed his movements. Well, Toru Watanabe frowned. I've been wearing small clothes for a long time, and my body still feels tight. Hearing this, Miki Kujo didn't care anymore and she was happy. She took out her phone and showed the screen to Toru Watanabe. Does it look good? The wallpaper of the phone was a girl in a black dress, as beautiful as Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. Take it away. Toru Watanabe didn't want to look at it at all. Miki Kujo laughed happily. This was a beautiful photo of Watanabe that she carefully selected. There were many photos of him in other clothes in the album. She saved a lot of ugly photos of Toru Watanabe on her phone, and Toru Watanabe also had a lot of photos of her on his phone. The two walked out of the villa, and the queen in the yard immediately flew over. Should we find a male bird for it? Toru Watanabe said. I'll send someone to the mountain to look for it. Miki Kujo scratched the queen's chin with her finger and said to it, go. The queen flapped its wings and flew to a canna tree. After being weighed, the canna tree immediately bent down. Still in Kamibocho, Miki Kujo clapped her hands and asked Toru Watanabe, change of place, do you have any recommendations? Just find a kiosk and go to Ginza? Okay. I'll call Ling and ask her if she wants to have dinner together. Miki Kujo took out her phone and told the servant in the yard to inform the driver to prepare the car. Your relationship is that good? Toru Watanabe laughed. Miki Kujo glanced at him and dialed a number. Let's have dinner together tonight? And Watanabe is here too. We'll go pick you up. Get ready. After hanging up the phone, the two of them took a car to Kyoicho. When they arrived at Rin Kiyono's apartment, she was just coming out. She was wearing a thin, cream-colored V-neck sweater. Although it was a V-neck, one couldn't even see her collarbone. It just looked like a V-neck. She was wearing a light blue long dress, which was still fresh and simple. Since we're talking about Rin Kiyono, we should also introduce Miki Kujo's outfit that day. Toru Watanabe remembered very clearly what she was wearing that day, a pure white t-shirt with his shirt on the outside. The front was open. Although the shirt was a little too big, it looked fashionable and elegant. She was wearing a pair of light blue jeans, which outlined the seductive curve of her hips and slender legs. The reason why he remembered it so clearly was that after she put on the dress that day, she said, "Don't say that I'm bullying you. You wear my dress and I wear your shirt. It's very fair." It was indeed very fair. Toru Watanabe couldn't refute the agreement of wearing whatever you wear. It was both happy and painful. Ah, isn't this the Watanabe classmate who said that he loved me but didn't contact me for 2 days? Rin Kiyono taunted him with a smile. Toru Watanabe pouted as if something was stuck in his teeth. He looked up and down inside the car, but didn't look at the two people. Miki Kujo glanced at him and said to Rin Kiyono with a smile, "Get in." Rin Kiyono got in the car and sat together with Miki Kujo. Toru Watanabe sat opposite Miki Kujo. The car slowly started and drove toward the main road. Let me show you something. Miki Kujo took out her cell phone. This. Rin Kiyono slightly craned her neck and looked at the screen with her. Toru Watanabe-san. Her gaze moved from the cell phone to Toru Watanabe and teased. I know you like to be scolded, but I didn't expect you to have a personal hobby of dressing up as a girl. It's Miki's hobby of making me wear her clothes, Rin Kiyono-san. It's all thanks to you. Miki Kujo said to Rin Kiyono with a smile. I used to punish him by letting him lick my legs. It's too easy on him. You don't need to tell me this kind of thing. Rin Kiyono looked at her coldly. Ah. Miki Kujo laughed happily. Seeing Rin Kiyono's face getting colder and colder, she said, Keep watching, I took a lot. There were 2 reasons why she specifically asked Rin Kiyono to come along. The car drove to Tsukiji, and the 3 of them entered a restaurant. The restaurant had a large Japanese-style courtyard surrounded by rockery, fake water, and maple leaves. There was a circle of private rooms. The proprietress, who was wearing a blue floral kimono, seemed to know Miki Kujo. Whether it was the tableware or the cushions, she took the initiative to let the waitress who was also wearing a kimono change new ones. You haven't been here for a long time. How is Madame Jinji? The proprietress said as she led the 3 of them into the private room. She's been very energetic recently, Miki Kujo said. After entering the private room, Toru Watanabe casually found a seat and sat down. The proprietress looked at him with some surprise. Toru Watanabe's back was to the alcove. According to Japanese customs, that was the seat of honor. I heard from the director of Yongdao who came here recently that Madame Jinji started to deal with business again. While saying this, the proprietress observed Miki Kujo. The eldest daughter of the Kujo family didn't care at all about the young man's behavior of sitting in the seat of honor without permission. Miki Kujo dealt with the proprietress, and Toru Watanabe looked around the private room. Every private room in this restaurant was decorated in a different style. The private room of the 3 of them was in the style of a farmhouse. There was a stove at the entrance, dark and smooth pillars, and a white paper door. There were straw hats and straw raincoats on the wall. You can go ahead with your work. Although Miki Kujo used honorifics, she spoke to the proprietress in a commanding tone. Have them serve the food directly. Don't worry about us. The proprietress of the restaurant was like the proprietress of the Ginza bar. She would constantly chat and drink with the guests. Okay, please enjoy your meal. The proprietress gracefully stepped back a few steps, then turned around and left the private room. During the meal, Rin Kiyono asked Toru Watanabe about what he did during his trip. Because there was plenty of time, Toru Watanabe gave her a more detailed explanation this time. He smoothly mentioned that the air in Hokkaido was better than in Tokyo. As he spoke, he suddenly realized something. Was he going to have to check up on her for the rest of his life? And there were 4 of them. No, Masahi probably wouldn't care where he went or what he did. Thinking of this, Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. She and Miki Kujo were talking about the difference between Kanto cuisine and Kyoto cuisine. In order to match the rural atmosphere of the private room, even the dishes were farmhouse dishes. The main dishes were grilled anchovies, fried tofu, and boiled potatoes. If we were in Kyoto, the taste would be slightly lighter. Rin Kiyono said. Miki Kujo nodded. The potatoes would also be replaced with taro. Toru Watanabe, who grew up in the countryside of Iwate Prefecture, couldn't join this conversation. It's been a month since the cultural festival. It's time to solve the problem between me and her. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and thought. After eating the bean soup, the 3 of them left Tsukiji. On Clear Sea Avenue, they could already see the brilliant lights of Ginza in front of them. They got off the car at Rokuchome. Every shop on the street poured exquisite lights onto the sidewalk. Enjoying the evening breeze, Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo held hands. Toru Watanabe walked beside them. The 3 of them strolled on the streets of Shinjuku at night. Occasionally they would enter a boutique. The 2 of them whispered to each other. Occasionally, they would ask Toru Watanabe for his opinion. Tired of walking, the 3 of them sat on the outdoor seats of a coffee shop. You can change it. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe's left hand and suddenly said, This. Toru Watanabe raised his wrist. The dark watch was heavy. I bought it last year and it's not worth much. Miki Kujo's tone sounded as if she wanted to change it for a pair of chopsticks. I don't like watches, but I like this one very much. That's it. Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo didn't force him to change it. She just casually mentioned it. What if I buy it for you? Rin Kiyono smiled at Toru Watanabe. Buy what? Right, speaking of which, I brought you a special product from Hakodate. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone. It's with me. I'll show you the photo first. You changed the topic very naturally. Miki Kujo praised him. Miki, you taught me well. Toru Watanabe found the photo of the gift and placed his cell phone in the middle of the small round table. Choose one. Rin Kiyono smiled helplessly. Then she relaxed and leaned forward slightly. The November night breeze blew. Toru Watanabe smelled the scent of shampoo on her body. Then Miki Kujo leaned forward slightly as well. Another familiar fragrance wafted over. The three of them surrounded the cell phone and discussed it. What's this? Rin Kiyono asked. A frog, a toilet bowl, and a pig. Toru Watanabe answered. Who's a frog? Who's a toilet bowl? Who's a pig? Miki Kujo asked. I should buy a frog that rides a panda, or a frog that's on a pig's back, Toru Watanabe said. Why? Rin Kiyono asked. You can't say that you're a toilet bowl, right? That's why you can only be a toilet bowl. If you buy a frog that rides a panda, you can at least be a pig. Then I'll be a frog, Rin Kiyono said. It just so happens that you've carried me like this before. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. Miki. Toru Watanabe raised one finger. Go ahead. I suddenly remembered a famous saying. Love is not looking at each other, but looking in the same direction. Are you done? Please allow me to explain. Yes. I think the meaning of this sentence is, Miki, you shouldn't be looking at me all the time, but at the frog with me. Toru Watanabe pointed at Rin Kiyono. Are you a pig, or am I a pig? Miki Kujo asked. If you want to be a pig, I can let you be, as long as you want. Miki Kujo sat up straight and pointed at Shinjuku Avenue. Go on by yourself and pick a car that you like. You can't get a driver's license until you're 18 years old. There's no point in buying a car now. Forget it, we'll talk about it next year. I'm telling you to find a car and kill yourself. Although it's a lie, Rin Kiyono also sat up straight. I can understand Miki's current feelings. That's enough. Miki Kujo rolled her eyes at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe leaned back in his chair and laughed. He didn't hate the situation of the two young ladies arguing, and he could even feel their feminine beauty. He also didn't hate the scene of him being interrogated. Making the brain work and coming up with good ideas was a very good exercise for the brain. You haven't chosen yet, he reminded them. Since you're a pig, I can only choose the pig with the frog on its back, Miki Kujo said. Rin Kiyono didn't understand. She took a sip of hot coffee and suddenly said, Is this thing really a specialty of Hakodate? You can't buy it in Tokyo? Maybe. Toru Watanabe didn't understand the actual situation at all. Tomorrow, I'll bring these two ornaments to the club classroom and decorate them there. They'll have more presents there than at home. Under the street tree in front of the coffee shop, a few people came and played jazz with instruments. The sound of the saxophone flowed slowly around. Time drifted away with the sound of the instruments. You still have school tomorrow. Let's go back, Rin Kiyono said. I'll ask the driver to send you back. Miki Kujo sent a message to the driver on her cell phone. You're not going back? Rin Kiyono asked. I slept during the day. I plan to walk back. I'll go with you, Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo. He couldn't let Miki Kujo be alone outside. Isn't that a given? Why? Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. You still want to go back with Rin? Of course, of course. After Rin Kiyono left in the car, Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo walked hand in hand in the direction of the Kokyo together. At the crossroad in front of Sony Ginza, while waiting for the traffic light, Miki Kujo turned her head and looked at Toru Watanabe. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked in confusion. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She just looked at him. Toru Watanabe touched his face. What's wrong? Nothing. Miki Kujo looked away. Toru Watanabe was confused, but there were people all around. He thought it would be better to ask after they returned to the villa. Miki Kujo really seemed to be fine. She was still holding hands, and her fingers were swaying gently. The traffic light turned green. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to take a step forward when Miki Kujo suddenly let go of her hand and jumped onto his back. Toru Watanabe hurriedly grabbed her thigh with his hand. Let's go, Miki Kujo said with a smile. That's it. Toru Watanabe found it funny. She wanted to walk back, because she slept during the day. She had been staring at him just now. It was nothing. It was all because Rin Kiyono said, "You've carried me like this before." That day, Xiaoyan wanted to eat persimmons. In order to pick persimmons for her, Kiyono rode on my shoulder. Toru Watanabe explained. Are her legs comfortable? Miki Kujo bit Toru Watanabe's ear and gently ground it with her teeth. Do you think she'll do such a thing? Who knows? She won't do it. But if you do it, will she refuse? I'm not that kind of person, Toru Watanabe said. She's riding on my shoulder. Do you want it? There are so many people here. You're not embarrassed. I can't afford to lose face. That's traffic light, idiot. Hurry up. Miki Kujo clamped Toru Watanabe's waist with her legs. The traffic light had already begun to flash. Sit tight. Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo and quickly ran over. Faster. Haha. Miki Kujo's cheerful laughter was left on the sidewalk. After passing the traffic light, Toru Watanabe still didn't stop. He carried Miki Kujo and kept running. Idiot, you can stop now. The people around them all looked at them, thinking that they were rushing to take the last tram. Toru Watanabe thought of the oak tree in the school. It was said that the size of the oak tree's crown was the size of its roots. The huge oak tree that covered the sky was just a nut that was easily eaten by a squirrel. Now it had to be completely uprooted. The entire road from Kamigawa's school gate to the school building had to be dug up. The seed of the oak tree liked Miki Kujo so much and liked Miki Kujo a little. The huge oak tree that covered the sky liked Miki Kujo so much and liked Miki Kujo a lot. Chapter 353. In November, accompanied by the cold wind from the northern Alps, it was time for the annual study trip. Today's class meeting, everyone can use it to discuss. On the podium, Aona Koizumi, who was wearing a teacher's uniform, said the relevant arrangements. When she wore a dress, she looked smart and capable, making people not dare to joke casually. When she wore a bathrobe, on the night before the first snow in Hakodate, she was innocent and cute, shy like a little girl hiding in the legs of an adult. This was the teacher that everyone admired. And this was his woman. Although he knew that this was a bad taste, Toru Watanabe still had such a sense of superiority. After the morning class meeting, the classroom was talking about where to go on this year's study trip. Miki, is there anywhere you want to go? Toru Watanabe sat upside down, overlapping his hands, resting his chin on the back of the chair. Hokkaido. I just came back from Hokkaido. That's why I want to go. Miki Kujo said with a smile. Especially Hakodate, I want to see the night scenery. After coming down from the mountain, we can eat roast mutton. Rin Kiyono took out a hardcover book from the drawer. After eating roast mutton, we'll go to some garden to see the night maple. Miki Kujo continued. Fragrant Snow Garden. Rin Kiyono opened the book. Yes, Fragrant Snow Garden. Miki Kujo snapped her slender fingers. Oh. Toru Watanabe looked at the two people who were echoing each other. He picked up Miki Kujo's automatic pencil, pressed it one by one and said, Tokyo has entered the maple season, and Hokkaido is already covered in snow. Where can we find maple leaves to admire? I'm afraid that only bare branches are left in Fragrant Snow Garden. But we still have to go to Hokkaido. Miki Kujo smiled, teasing Toru Watanabe. Let's go to Hakone. Toru Watanabe puts down the pen, smiles and holds her hand. Soak in the hot spring, go boating in the lake of reed dyed red by maple leaves. Maple leaves can't dye Lake of Reed red, Rin Kiyono reminded. After a slight pause, she added. But in the colder autumn, there are fewer clouds and visibility is high. It's a good time to see Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji. Toru Watanabe clapped his hands. I like Mount Fuji. I like Mount Fuji the most. I like Mount Fuji very much. Isn't your favorite Yangzhou fried rice from Shikoku Takamatsu? Rin Kiyono asked in surprise. This woman with a good memory was too evil. I like Yangzhou fried rice. It has nothing to do with Shikoku's Takamatsu, Toru Watanabe explained and then held Miki Kujo's hand. Let's go see Mount Fuji. Seeing Mount Fuji in Tokyo is fine, Miki Kujo said in a casual tone. For example, Roppongi, Mukuro Station. Ling said. You even know this? Toru Watanabe looked at her in surprise. This is common sense. In Toru Watanabe's knowledge, there was no such thing. Why don't you want to go to Hokkaido? Are you afraid of making those too sad? Miki Kujo asked. It has nothing to do with that, Toru Watanabe explained. It's just that I just went to Hokkaido. It's a bit boring to go there again. It depends on your performance. Miki Kujo was ambiguous, but she already agreed in her heart. The last class in the afternoon was English class. Class test, students in the front row, please pass the test paper to the back. Aona Koizumi handed the newly printed test paper to the first student in each group. The classroom was quiet. Only the rustling of the pen on the test paper could be heard. Aona Koizumi walked around the classroom, checking on the students' answers. When she walked past Toru Watanabe, she stopped and looked at him for a while. I love you, Toru Watanabe wrote. Aona Koizumi's elegant eyebrows flashed with a trace of doubt, and she couldn't help but slightly bend over. She had already done the test paper, so there was no need to write this sentence. Koizumi, I love you, Toru Watanabe wrote again. Koizumi, the Roman pronunciation of Koizumi. Aona Koizumi pursed her lips, lowered her head and smiled. She pretended to be serious as she tapped Toru Watanabe's desk and walked away happily. After school, Toru Watanabe and the other two went to the human observation department together. The water was just boiled, but before they could take a sip of the hot tea, there was a knock on the door. Let's go. Rin Kiyono didn't put down the teacup and directly said, Sorry to bother you. Yoshimi Tamamo and Aoi Ichiki walked in. The two of them came to the human observation department to ask what they didn't do enough this year. In the national competition in October, the blowing department only won the silver medal. The third grade, represented by Keiru Hayami, left the department in tears. Yoshimi Tamamo smoothly became the head of the blowing department, and Aoi Ichiki also took this opportunity to become the vice head. There's no other way besides memorizing and training. This was Rin Kiyono's advice, exactly the same as when she personally coached the blowing department in the first grade. But the training schedule is the same as last year. Aoi Ichiki was puzzled. The training schedule is the same, but it doesn't mean that the level of effort is the same, Kukui. Yoshimi Tamamo said. Last year, Kiyono classmate would check on us every day, so we didn't dare to relax. This year, there's no such pressure. Is there anything else? Rin Kiyono wasn't interested in the blowing department. She just wanted to quickly calm down and read. Nothing. Sorry to bother you. Before leaving, Yoshimi Tamamo stared at Toru Watanabe. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe couldn't understand her eyes, so he didn't bother to guess or think about it. After the club activities, reading, playing games, ended, Toru Watanabe didn't take the bus to Kamibocho with Miki Kujo, but walked with Rin Kiyono to Shiya Station to take the tram. I'll bring Frog and Pig tomorrow, he said. Rin Kiyono nodded, and the two of them fell into silence. Toru Watanabe had a lot of things to say to her, but he didn't know where to start. Rin Kiyono also seemed to have something to say to him, but the two of them didn't open their mouths. It was the first time for the two of them to suffer together. But this kind of suffering was like a stage fright writer who had to go on stage tomorrow to give a speech about winning the Nobel Prize in Literature. As long as he was with Rin Kiyono, even if it was suffering, it was a happy suffering. Toru Watanabe wanted to know if Rin Kiyono also thought the same. The beech trees on both sides of the road had already fallen leaves. As long as they survive this winter, next year when the south wind blows, they will continue to germinate and grow leaves. The two of them stood behind the yellow line, waiting for their respective trams. Toru Watanabe wanted to go to Shinano, which was west of Shiya Station. Rin Kiyono wanted to go to Kioi, which was east of Shiya Station. If he didn't go to Water of the Imperial Tea that night, he wouldn't have moved away, and would have continued to live in that rented apartment with no one standing on the balcony. Through the window, he could see Rin Kiyono's light. When he occasionally went to the convenience store late at night, he would see her wearing casual clothes, and perhaps even wearing headphones. "What songs have you been listening to recently?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Why do you suddenly ask this?" Rin Kiyono asked. "I thought about the last time I saw you wearing headphones in the middle of the night, so I wanted to ask. Are you thinking about that night when you went to my apartment with Hanada-senpai and saw my underwear? I didn't think about it, but now that you mention it, I can't help but think about it." Toru Watanabe turned his face and looked at Rin Kiyono. Black school uniform, white shirt, pleated skirt, slim figure, awe-inspiring temperament. There was a different kind of charm. "What are you looking at?" Rin Kiyono crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her voice was so cold that it made people wonder if this was the Snow Country train station. "Miss Kiyono, why are you so perfect?" Toru Watanabe was very puzzled. "Do you think I'm Mickey? Do you think you can fool me by saying nice things?" Rin Kiyono sneered. "You'll only make me angrier. I'm telling the truth. The proportion of your body is so perfect. Even if you're sitting in a group of people, including me, I can still distinguish you from others at first glance, because you have a unique temperament. I like people who admit their mistakes. You're also cute when you're angry and unhappy. You've already used the same method in last year's national blowing competition. I definitely won't be fooled twice by you." Qing Yi-rin's posture became even more relaxed as he crossed his arms. "Kiyono classmate, you're really interesting." "Are you mocking me?" "Interesting in a good sense," Toru Watanabe said. "In fact, the reason why a boy likes a girl is very simple. When you're eating face to face, when you see the girl eating slowly and elegantly, you suddenly like her. Such a thing definitely exists." "Why do you like me?" "Because it's interesting. Your legs are slender and smooth, without a single flaw." "Sure enough." Rin Kiyono nodded. "You're such a superficial person. Your eyes are just right, clear, cold, and sometimes when you smile, it's like a magnet that sucks people in." "What analogy?" "Don't dirty my eyes. Your hair always reminds me of the lead powder of an automatic pencil, pitch black and full of luster." "Why is it lead powder?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Your 10 fingers, anyone who sees them will think they're beautiful. Are you going to praise me from head to toe? Your voice is like the sound of nature from the sky, ethereal and pure. Even if you scold me, my heart will feel comfortable." "Yes." Slender figure, elegant and refined facial features, simple yet textured clothes. "Thank you," Rin Kiyono said with a sarcastic tone. "Even the word thank you sounds so nice." Rin Kiyono put her hand on her forehead and said helplessly, "How infatuated are you with me? If I have ice cream in my hand, I can't wait to smear it on your face. Your recent metaphors are getting more and more strange. You praised me so much in one breath, my brain can't keep up." Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "Change it. I can eat 3 bowls of rice in front of a single strand of your hair. It's not a compound soup. Even if you eat it, you won't become me." The departure bell rang in the station. After the Chibami station, the Marunouchi line was about to depart. The pleasant conversation just now was immediately squeezed out of the platform by the bell. After a moment of silence, Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe with a slight smile on her face and said, "I'm leaving." "Yes. Is there anything else you want to say?" "See you tomorrow?" "See you tomorrow." Rin Kiyono walked towards the tram. Her long hair was blown back by the wind. For Valleys, platform number 1 Marunouchi line, heading to Chibami station. For Valleys, platform number 1 Marunouchi line, heading to Chibami station. The female reporter's voice came from the radio. Rin Kiyono stood near the tram door and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was still on the platform. She gently waved her hand. Toru Watanabe smiled and walked in before the door closed. Why did you come up? Rin Kiyono looked at him in surprise. Because you asked me, is there anything else you want to say? So I chose to come up. Toru Watanabe grabbed the roof handle. Is there anything else you want to say? Not yet. Where do you want to go? Not yet. After a short pause, Toru Watanabe continued. Anyway, I want to follow you and make sure you're safe when we get home. Follow. I thought you wanted to elope. Chibanmi Station. There's a river on the way to my apartment. Let's jump in together? That's suicide for love, right? I mean, the tram started moving. Rin Kiyono, who didn't grab the handrail, couldn't help but sway and fall backward. Toru Watanabe reached out and grabbed her waist, pulling her into his arms. The tram moved towards the Chibanjianfu station with a series of clangs. Idiot! How long do you want to hold me? Idiot! Toru Watanabe smelled her hair. Who would take the initiative to give up this opportunity? You're the idiot. You admit that you followed me? Idiot, I don't admit it. I just remember the promise we made by the Uji River. No matter what kind of river you fall into, I'll jump in to save you. We're both idiots. Rin Kiyono leaned her forehead on Toru Watanabe's chest and gently grabbed his unbuttoned school uniform. Why are you leaning over? Toru Watanabe asked. Because you remember the past, so I decided to take a step towards the future. The tram moved quickly. Toru Watanabe's impulse was getting stronger and stronger. When this impulse ran from the bottom of his heart to the tip of his tongue, he said, Kiyono. Next stop, Chibanmi Station, Chibanmi Station. Why so fast? Toru Watanabe's words were stuck in his throat. You're used to going to Shinano. Have you forgotten that this tram only takes 4 minutes? Rin Kiyono laughed. If I knew this, I would have walked. If we walked, I wouldn't be leaning on your chest. Rin Kiyono said in a voice that Toru Watanabe didn't want to hear. Then she left his arms and stood up straight. Toru Watanabe looked at her. Her delicate body lines and smooth movements could be described as the beauty of a woman's art. Yes, Kiyono-san is the embodiment of beauty, the representative of female beauty. Do you want to continue? Rin Kiyono asked. Okay, let's sit until we reach the final stop. Where is the final stop? Toru Watanabe reached out his hand towards her slim waist. When I said continue, I meant praise me. Rin Kiyono waved his hand away. The final stop is Tashima Ward Ikebukuro Station. You can go there by yourself. Okay. The tram entered the station. Rin Kiyono got off, while Toru Watanabe stayed in the tram. You're really going to Ikebukuro Station? She asked with some surprise. Before I came to Tokyo, I heard that Tokyo's Ikebukuro, Shitani, and Harajuku have the most fashionable and cute girls. I've long wanted to see them. Rin Kiyono nodded and didn't say anything. Toru Watanabe took the tram and left. I'm almost at Ikebukuro. Let's go check it out today. Let's go shopping together on Saturday. Let's look for cute girls together. You don't want to. Shopping is fine. I'm just curious how you got to Ikebukuro. What do you mean? The final stop is indeed Ikebukuro, but you're sitting in the wrong direction. Where am I going now? East Kyoto, Tsujanami-jiwa Station. Okay, it's Tsujanami again. You've been to Tsujanami? Didn't we go together? In order to buy props for the cultural festival, you even borrowed my handkerchief to wipe your eyes. That's Itabashi. Watanabe-san, what's wrong with your head? I'm recalling the feeling of hugging you just now. My hands are fragrant, and my brain has stopped working. Goodbye, disgusting classmate. I'll be back. The tram clanked as it carried Toru Watanabe towards Tsujanami. Chapter 354. Shinanko Apartment, Room 501. Tonight's dinner was hamburger meat. Aona Koizumi had an apron around her waist and was stirring the minced meat in a glass bowl. Miyazaki Miyuki was cutting onions beside her. Huangzi was sitting outside the kitchen, doing nothing but accompanying the two of them to pass the time. Where did that kid Watanabe go? Huangzi took a bite of the cucumber, making a crisp crunching sound. Could it be that he went to have a big meal with Milady? No. Aona Koizumi's tone was relaxed. How do you know? Huangzi mumbled as she chewed on the cucumber. If he wants to go, he will definitely tell me in advance. Aona Koizumi said with a smile. It's not like I don't want him to go, what's there to hide from me? Blind trust, a woman who is blinded by love, it's hopeless. Huangzi shook the remaining half of the cucumber helplessly. I just did it, of course I trust him. Miyazaki Miyuki wiped the kitchen knife, wiping off the onion on the knife. Did it? Huangzi's eyes widened, looking back and forth between the two of them. Did what? That. Aona Koizumi lowered her head, adding bread flour, eggs, nutmeg and pepper into the minced meat, and then continued to stir. Miyazaki Miyuki put oil in the pan, turned on the fire, and poured in half of the freshly cut onions. After pouring some, she was about to put down the plate, but after thinking, she poured a few more into the pan. So it's almost half? Doesn't the kitchen have a device to control the amount of onions? Miyazaki Miyuki muttered. Aona Koizumi took the remaining half of the raw onions and poured it into the minced meat. Hey! Huangzi, who was ignored, shouted. Besides that, what else can they do? English test paper? Miyazaki Miyuki answered casually and began to stir-fry the onions. When Huangzi was in disbelief, she stopped eating the cucumber. Obviously Aonai was with us the whole time. Miyazaki Miyuki didn't say anything. Huangzi turned her head and stared at Aona Koizumi, who was silent with her head lowered. The second night of our trip to Hokkaido, Aona Koizumi whispered to Mr. Huangzi like a student who had made a mistake. Hokkaido? A few days ago? Aren't you sleeping with Mai? Why did he? Wait a minute, did you sneak out while Mai was asleep? Or did that brat Toru Watanabe sneak into your room in the middle of the night and… No. Aona Koizumi quickly interrupted Huangzi. The more he spoke, the more ridiculous it was. Then what's going on? Huangzi questioned. Tell me clearly. Exactly. That's it? Huangzi didn't even blink as his ears pricked up. Anyway, I've already done it. Because my Asahi went to Toru Watanabe's room the night before. She didn't want to fall behind, so she went the next night. How could she say that? Cough, cough, cough. Huangzi coughed as if she was about to cry. Sob, sob, it's so painful, so sad. What are you sad about? Miyazaki Miyuki glanced at her impatiently. 26 years old virgins. Originally, all three of us were virgins, so I didn't feel anything. Now that one of us is gone, I'm starting to feel anxious. Sob, sob, sob. Huangzi bit off the last half of the cucumber. I can help you, Miyazaki Miyuki said. Help me. Huangzi was stunned. Help me with what? Didn't you say you didn't want to be a virgin? I have finger covers. Finger covers? What finger covers? Huangzi reacted. You female pervert. As a doctor, it's normal to have finger covers, Miyazaki Miyuki said calmly. You should go to the anorectal department. Miyuki. As the only one with experience, Aona Koizumi was the one with the reddest face. She said shyly and anxiously, This is the kitchen, don't say that. Miyazaki Miyuki shrugged her shoulders. Huangzi glanced at Miyazaki Miyuki as well, and felt as if she was meeting her best friend for the first time. Aonai. Huangzi lowered her voice. What's wrong? Why are you like this all of a sudden? You want to borrow money? Aona Koizumi looked at Huangzi, who seemed to be communicating with undercover agents, in amusement. What do you want to borrow money for? Huangzi was about to continue speaking, but she was still worried. Wait for me. She slipped into the living room in her cute plush slippers, and looked around at the entrance. After confirming that Toru Watanabe wasn't back yet, she ran back. Aonai. She placed her hands on the kitchen counter and leaned forward. She asked softly, How is it? What do you mean? Aona Koizumi knew what she meant, but because she was embarrassed, she could only ask the obvious. It's that. Which? It's that. Huangzi was so anxious that she didn't know what to say. She stretched out her right index finger, and placed it between her left thumb and index finger. Her right index finger seemed to be rubbing off the non-existent grease, but also seemed to be sawing her thumb off from her left hand. She pushed it forward and back. Huangzi. Aona Koizumi looked at her in disbelief. Ha 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 ha. Miyazaki Miyuki laughed so hard that she couldn't even hold the spatula properly. Huangzi wasn't embarrassed at all. She asked with concern, "How is it? This?" "It's quite vivid," Miyazaki Miyuki praised. "Who's talking about that?" Huangzi replied. She stared at Aona Koizumi again. "How is it? Is it comfortable?" Aona Koizumi lowered her head and didn't say anything. Aonai. Huangzi's entire upper body was sprawled on the kitchen counter. At this moment, if someone were to lift her leg, it would only take a little bit, and she would probably fall headfirst into the counter. "I'm making dinner." Aona Koizumi was busy stirring the minced meat. "I'm just saying. Is it comfortable or uncomfortable?" Aona Koizumi was stared at by her. She could only say shyly in a low voice, "It's all right." "All right?" Huangzi repeated the word. "Isn't that still 1 piece per person?" "It's not the same. I'll teach you later. I'll be your how to eat 2 burgers for 2 people teacher." "I don't want it." Walking into the living room, Toru Watanabe didn't have time to look at my Asahi when he noticed Huangzi giving him a thumbs up. Toru Watanabe was puzzled, but he also gave her a thumbs up. "You too." Aona Koizumi patted Toru Watanabe's back. "Why did you only hit me?" Toru Watanabe felt wronged. "I hit you because we have a good relationship," Aona Koizumi said with a smile. "This is the first time I hit someone." "Teacher Aonai, are you also a sadist?" "What sadist?" "Nothing." That night, Toru Watanabe slept alone for the first time in a long time. Lying on the big bed that could sleep 6 people, he repeatedly thought about the scene with Rin Kiyono on the tram. "Because you remember the past, I decided to take a step towards the future." What was the meaning of this sentence? Was she preparing to compete more fiercely with Miki Kujo and the other 2? Or, there were all kinds of possibilities. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Toru Watanabe closed his eyes, emptied his mind, and absent-mindedly returned to the tram running to the Shanbing district. Rin Kiyono leaned her forehead on his chest, and he hugged her through his uniform and shirt. Her ethereal voice was like the sound of nature, her faint fragrance, and her tight and slender waist. How could he convey his feelings? After saying it, would she accept it? Would that unreachable dream really come true one day? No, it must come true. Toru Watanabe remembered every word Rin Kiyono said. The world will not compromise the people who are gentle. No matter what others say, no matter what the world thinks, he must let them be together. Never show weakness to anyone, never compromise with any worldly rules. He wanted to become a demon, a real man. Only then could he embrace Rin Kiyono without any scruples, and love her with all his might. Throwing away all doubts and uneasiness, he said to her, "Please be with me." Running along the lush green streets and trees of the 4 valleys, in the afternoon of the Lightwell Lake, they ran down the narrow alleys of the lower North Lake and shouted to everyone, "She's my lover. No one can stop me." "Rin, what are you doing now?" It was 1 o'clock in the morning, but he still couldn't sleep. In autumn, there were fewer clouds at night, and the moonlight flowing in through the floor-to-ceiling window was brighter than usual. Rin Kiyono sat on the single sofa in the bedroom, bent her legs, and looked out the window. Somewhere in the dark where even the moonlight couldn't penetrate, was Toru Watanabe's old rented house. After he got his own SLR camera, before Toru Watanabe moved away, he accidentally saw his blurry figure studying in front of the window. Arsan. Dora A. Rin. Kiyono God. A sweet and lonely nickname. She would scold him, and he would unceremoniously fight back, just like a quarrel between lovers. When she threatened him, he would say, "Miss Kiyono. Kiyono-san? Kiyono? Rin. Oriai-chan?" He begged her so exaggeratedly. She liked his arrogance when he fought back. She liked his look when he was caught on the handle and asked for help. She liked his self-righteous pride in explaining the cause of the Meiyu. She liked that he deliberately made her angry, and then found a way to make her laugh, just to see her clever smile. She liked that he always didn't tell the truth. The time they spent together was like the leaves sifting through the sunlight, and the clumsy sound of the flute playing came in intermittently from outside the window. Hugging her knees and closing her eyes, it was as if she was back in the trolley car. Marinucci's line swayed, heading in the direction that was not Ikebukuro Station. Her body also swayed with the trolley car. In Toru Watanabe's arms, the distance between them was sometimes close and sometimes far. She was obviously in his arms. Why was it sometimes close and sometimes far? As long as one side exerted strength, Toru Watanabe hugged her even more tightly. Or she took the initiative to hug his waist. The trolley cars swaying couldn't do anything to them. Was it because they were going in the opposite direction? If it was the trolley car going to Ikebukuro Station, would they be able to keep the closest distance? If they went to Ikebukuro Station, would he not go to Imperial Tea? Would he not pretend to date Miki Kujo because he cared about his parents? And wouldn't a series of things happen later? I hate to share you with others, but I need you again. If it wasn't for you, this world wouldn't mean anything to me. Is there any way for us to be together, Watanabe-san? You can make Miki Kujo fall in love with you. You can make Miki Kujo allow my Asahi and Aona Koizumi to be your lovers. You can make me and Miki Kujo reconcile. There must be a way for us to be together, right? Among the three of us, you are the smartest and the most cunning. I still remember that you deceived me in Karuizawa, and made me willingly perform a play at the cultural festival. So quickly think of a way. Even if you deceived me, I can pretend that I didn't find out. Soft hair fell behind Rin Kiyono's ear. In this game of hide and seek, quickly catch me. When that day comes, will you call me Rin? If you take the initiative to ask, I will allow it. And when that day comes, I will also call you Toru. I want to be with you. Watanabe-san, what are you thinking about now? Chapter 355. Hakone. The most famous scenic spots are Oyu Valley and Lake Rushi. The annual super popular sport Hakone Relay. The participants are university students, running from Tokyo to Lake Rushi, and then from Lake Rushi back to Tokyo. The total distance is about 217 kilometers. Hakone's tram is also very famous. Toru Watanabe closed the travel magazine and returned it to Aoi Ichiki. I didn't expect to go to Hakone for a study trip. Aoi Ichiki immediately opened the magazine that she had already read many times. Is there a need to be so excited? Toru Watanabe picked up the milk box on the table. Of course. Aoi Ichiki nodded vigorously. Unlike Kyoto and Osaka, Hakone is a famous summer resort. In the first episode of Tokyo Women's Illustrated Handbook, the female character from Akita Prefecture fantasized about traveling to Hakone. So Hakone is more famous than Karuizawa? The reason why Karuizawa developed was because the rich wanted to avoid the summer heat there. Hakone, on the other hand, developed because of scenic spots such as Oyu Valley and Lake Rushi, as well as the popular long-distance relay race, Hakone Relay. If you think about it this way, Hakone should be more famous. After saying that, the newly promoted deputy director of the wind instrument department thought for a while, and added a word to be safe. Probably. Toru Watanabe sucked on the straw, and the strawberry milk continuously flowed down his throat. Class 4's study trip location has been confirmed. It is Hakone, which is about to usher in the best viewing season of the red leaves. The class next door is going to France. Compared to that, Hakone is nothing. Toru Watanabe said. I've always heard that France is very romantic. I want to see the Arc de Triomphe and the Eiffel Tower. But Hakone is also not bad. Hakone, Aoi Ichiki sang while flipping through the travel magazine. Toru Watanabe stared at the ceiling of the classroom above his head. Hakone's mountains are dangerous. This saying is only limited to Japan, but it is also appropriate to use it as the final battlefield. He drank the rest of the milk in one gulp. After lunch break, Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono returned to the classroom. Both of them had waist-length hair, and when they walked through the classroom, their stunning beauty seemed to surround them with a halo. Where did you go at noon? Miki Kujo sat down in her seat and asked Toru Watanabe. I'm reading Yimi's travel magazine in the classroom. Travel magazine. Since we're going, let's make some preparations to have a better time. I'm already sick of Hakone. Miki Kujo said. Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. Since you're tired of going there, why didn't you say so when I suggested going to Hakone? Miki Kujo laughed contemptuously. Is there any place that I haven't been to before? I was planning to make some preparations and bring you to have more fun. Looks like it's your turn to be my tour guide. The class bell rang, and the chemistry teacher walked in. Toru Watanabe turned around and exchanged glances with Rin Kiyono, then looked away at the same time. After that trolley ride, the two of them fell into a strange atmosphere, as if they were waiting for something. What's the date today? The chemistry teacher stood on the podium and asked everyone. 12. Nonsense, it's clearly 11. Then students with student numbers 11 and 12 come up. The chemistry teacher took out 2 pieces of chalk. The 2 people who were talking just now silently walked up, and each took a piece of chalk. The others laughed, and Osamu Kanai's laughter was especially loud. Quiet, take out the paper. The chemistry teacher opened the textbook. Today's dictation before classes. After school, Toru Watanabe began to pack his luggage in preparation for tomorrow's trip. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi's voice came from the entrance. Anai-sensei? Toru Watanabe walked out of the bedroom. Dinner is ready already? Not yet. Aona Koizumi changed into slippers. I'll have Miyuki and Aozi cook for me today. I'll help you pack your clothes. The two of them. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone from his pocket. Aonai-sensei, what do you want to eat today? Pizza? Beef bento? Aona Koizumi smiled and slapped Toru Watanabe. The two of them walked into the bedroom, and Aona Koizumi helped Toru Watanabe choose his clothes. As a student, he had to wear the school uniform for his trip. Plus, he didn't have to wear as much as a girl. He only had to bring enough underwear and socks. Although the hotel has toiletries, it's best to bring your own. Aona Koizumi said as she packed his luggage. After returning home, she changed into her home clothes. When she bent down, her curves were very soft, and the cotton pants outlined the seductive curves of her butt. Occasionally, when she stood up to get something, she would bounce back like a broken willow branch and regain her strong curves. When Aona Koizumi bent down again, Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind. Just for a while. Toru Watanabe interrupted her and hugged her tightly. No, you can't. Aona Koizumi twisted her body and struggled, but her strength was very weak. Toru Watanabe stroked her right cheek with his left hand and turned her elegant and beautiful little oval-shaped face around. Watanabe. Toru Watanabe let go of her red lips and kissed her fair neck. Miyuki and the others are still waiting. Aona Koizumi said while panting. Just for a while. Toru Watanabe breathed hot air into her ear. His hand left her flat stomach and placed on the waist of her pants. Watanabe. Aona Koizumi shouted reproachfully as she couldn't help but tilt her neck back. Toru Watanabe's hand moved down and took off her pants and underwear. Can you lie on the bed? No. Aona Koizumi frowned. When Toru Watanabe let go, her body went limp and fell onto the big white bed in front of her. She instinctively supported herself with her hands on the edge of the bed. This position was exactly what Toru Watanabe wanted. As if the bed was too soft, Aona Koizumi was conquered the moment she leaned on it and maintained that position. Hurry up. She didn't raise her head. Her face was buried in the blanket as she spoke like a little girl. Toru Watanabe stroked her white buttocks. He was ready. Ah. Aona Koizumi cried out softly as if she was wailing. November 12th. The students of Kamigawa went to different train stations according to their study destinations. All the students of the second grade class 4 were gathered at the platform of Shinjuku Station. Everyone, according to your groups, see if there are any students who haven't come? Aona Koizumi said lightly as she counted the number of students. Last year, Toru Watanabe was in a group with Keisuke Saito. This year he was in a group with Miki Kujo, Rin Kiyono, and Aoi Ichiki. Miki, this is your second time taking the Shinjuku line? Toru Watanabe asked. Yeah. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at the platform of Shinjuku Station. Last time, I went back to Iwate Prefecture with you. Are you going again this year? Toru Watanabe asked with a smile. Last year, I spent Chinese New Year at your place. Today, I should be at my place. Miki Kujo was the best representative of egalitarianism. For example, I'll wear whatever you wear. Okay. Toru Watanabe nodded. He guarded Miki Kujo in case someone bumped into her. His eyes looked at Rin Kiyono beside him. She was listening to Aoi Ichiki chatter about the hot spring black eggs in Oyu Valley. Noticing Toru Watanabe's gaze, Rin Kiyono turned her head to look at him. After glancing at him, she moved her gaze back to the tracks. How are you and her? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. I'm going to confess to her in Hakone. Toru Watanabe hugged Miki Kujo's slender shoulders and whispered. Finally made up your mind? Aren't you angry? After we made up during the culture festival, I already thought that the three of us were together. Miki Kujo was in Toru Watanabe's arms and looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. Toru Watanabe hugged her even tighter. There's also my senpai and Aonai senpai. He reminded her. Miki Kujo just smiled and didn't comment. In her eyes, Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi were just tools for her to make up for almost killing Toru Watanabe twice. Qin Yilin was the only one she saw as an opponent. She even allowed the existence of Mayasahi and Aona Koizumi, mainly because of Rin Kiyono's threat. In the past, the two of them were rivals. Now they could only be friends with each other. Toru Watanabe knew Miki Kujo's true thoughts. He didn't force her to agree with Aona Koizumi and Mayasahi. Only by accommodating each other and understanding each other could they live happily. They didn't have to do anything to each other. Then what about Rin Kiyono? Toru Watanabe began to think about this matter again. She didn't do anything wrong to him. There was no reason for her to accommodate him. It was normal for lovers to be faithful. Even though he was already used to their current relationship, Toru Watanabe was still self-aware. He was wrong. He was good to them and ensured that they didn't have any problems in life, and that they were healthy. He wanted them to be happy and did his best to show his love and care for them. Just in case he wouldn't accept any more missions. All of the above was just him trying his best to do the right things on the basis of his mistakes. There was nothing to be proud of. Now he had to face Rin Kiyono, who didn't do anything wrong. Apart from their love for each other and their determination to be together, there was nothing he could compare with her. Even so, he still chose to take this step forward. Guilt and unfairness would wait until he got Rin Kiyono. Now, all he had to do was to run and chase after everything he wanted. Everyone got on the Odaki Romance Express. The timetable indicated that they would arrive in Hakone in 85 minutes. Miki, you sit by the window. Toru Watanabe said directly when arranging seats. He still didn't want anyone to accidentally bump into Miki Kujo. This was partly because of Miki Kujo's obsession with cleanliness, but also because of his own selfishness. After Miki Kujo sat down, Toru Watanabe said to Rin Kiyono, "You sit in the middle? You want to sit next to me?" Rin Kiyono asked with a smile. This wasn't a special class carriage, so they sat together with the other students. There were 5 seats in a row, 3 on each side and 2 on the other. Aoi Ichiki and a girl from Class 4's music department were sitting together and chatting. "Sit," Miki Kujo said to Rin Kiyono. "He's our bodyguard now." "Not just a bodyguard," Toru Watanabe said. "Or what?" Rin Kiyono asked. Toru Watanabe adjusted the position of his tie. "He's still a servant. If you need anything to drink or eat, please tell me directly." "I want to eat the pancakes your mother baked," Miki Kujo said with a smile. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. "Dora A. Rin." Rin Kiyono didn't look at him, and sat directly in the middle seat. "Dora A. Rin doesn't want to help, so I can only ask my mother," Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo and sat down on the aisle seat. Not long after, the romantic rushed toward Hakone. Along the way, it was already autumn scenery, dark red or withered yellow leaves, and the distant sky. Deep autumn leaves yellow. When the romantic passed by the Tama River, Toru Watanabe thought of Takabashi Shuzi's haiku. Leisurely without heart to cover the setting sun, Rin Kiyono didn't look away from the book in her hand. Toru Watanabe waited for a while, but Miki Kujo's voice didn't come, so he turned to look and sure enough, she was already asleep. "You're in a good mood?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Why do you say that?" Toru Watanabe asked. "You still have the mood to read haiku, are you in a bad mood?" "Where do I fall?" Toru Watanabe said the last sentence of the haiku. "My mood is not good, but not bad, just a little hesitant." "Hesitant?" Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly and closed the book. "I'll chat with you." "Okay. What do you want to talk about?" "Takabashi Shuzi?" "Okay, you first." Rin Kiyono put the book on the pleated skirt that covered her knees, and gently stroked the cover with her fingers. Toru Watanabe was speechless. "I know this haiku about Takabashi Shuzi." "Me too." "Then you agree." "Didn't you also say you want to talk about Takabashi Shuzi?" Rin Kiyono gently put her hand on her chin, and her smile was elegant with a little mischievous. "Very cute. I'm going to learn about him from you," Toru Watanabe said. Didn't I tell you before? I don't know everything, and to admit that, it's also one of your excellent points," Toru Watanabe said for her. "I remember your words." "The credit for writing a diary?" "Speaking of diaries, you should hand in the second one." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono without blinking. "Kiyono-san." "Say it. You're really beautiful." "Anything else? I might like you more than I thought." "Got it, anything else?" Looking at the beautiful and refined little face, and the crystal clear eyes, Toru Watanabe's heart beat faster. He wanted to say his heart's desire, to beg her to ignore all his mistakes, even if she cared, to wait until the two of them were together, and then she could slowly blame him. Even if she blamed him for a lifetime, it didn't matter. His heart was pounding, his hands were starting to go numb, and his voice must have become hoarse. "That's all," Toru Watanabe said hoarsely. Rin Kiyono looked at him deeply. "In that case, let's talk about something else." "About what?" "Do you think honesty is necessary?" "Actually, humans have never pursued honesty." "Continue." "People talk about it, but they expect others to follow it, while they turn a blind eye to most situations. When honesty is useful, people will be honest. When lies are convenient for them, they will immediately turn around and worship lies." "What about you?" "I'm also one of them," Toru Watanabe said, "but I'm willing to always be honest with you." "Because being honest with me is beneficial to you?" "I won't deny that it's partly because of this, but you won't like someone just because they're honest, right? Honesty is the foundation of being human. I will admire them, but..." Rin Kiyono looked away and looked ahead. "Liking someone has nothing to do with that person's honesty." "Then wouldn't I be honest for nothing?" Rin Kiyono turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe coldly. "I'm kidding." He laughed. "I'm honest with you only because you're good looking. Only because of my appearance." Appearance is very important." Toru Watanabe pretended to be guilty. "And you just said that you'll always be honest with me." Rin Kiyono sighed. She couldn't do anything about him. Honesty is only a means. Toru Watanabe looked into her eyes. "My goal is to make you happy. As long as I can make you happy, I'm willing to be honest or lie." "Is that so?" Soft hair fell behind Rin Kiyono's ears. She remembered what the fortune teller said during their trip to Kyoto. "Although you're smart, sometimes you know that someone is lying, but you still choose to believe them." At that time, she didn't even think about it and said that it was impossible. Now that person had appeared. The two of them stopped talking, each thinking about their own matters. At some point, Toru Watanabe felt a slight weight on his shoulder. He looked sideways and saw that Rin Kiyono had fallen asleep, and her head was leaning on his shoulder. Letting the sleeping Rin Kiyono lean on his shoulder like this without caring about anything was probably not a bad idea. "But, Kiyono-san." Toru Watanabe gently woke Rin Kiyono up. "We've reached the final stop." Chapter 356. For Hakone, Tanjin Station was a platform similar to the entrance. It was November, the peak season for tourism, so the platform was crowded with people. The Kamigawa students in black uniforms were particularly eye-catching. Today's weather is good, we can see Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji? Where is it? I saw it on the way here, the flight attendants even used the radio to tell the passengers. I fell asleep. No, you were playing games. Are you serious? I didn't fall asleep. Why do I feel like I fell asleep? The students didn't care about the tourists' gazes, and excitedly chatted. Everyone is here. Aona Koizumi said loudly. The first day is a group trip, so no one is allowed to leave the group without permission, do you hear me? Yes. There will be free time to take photos, but it must be within the stipulated range and time. Yes. If there is an accident, remember to immediately call me as the group leader. Yes. This time the reply was much smaller, only the 10 group leaders answered. Toru Watanabe's group leader was Aoi Ichiki. The reason for her election was, in Toru Watanabe's words, Aoi Ichiki did the most homework for this trip, but in reality, it was the three of them who were lazy. After Aona Koizumi said what needed to be said, she repeatedly reminded everyone to pay attention to their safety, then led everyone to leave Tanjin Station and walk towards the first destination, Hakone Tanjin. Along the way, they passed by Hakone's shopping street, where there were all kinds of food stores. The girls were reluctant to leave, and decided to come here for their free trip the next day. How long will it take? Miki Kujo, who was at the back of the group, asked Toru Watanabe. Group leader Itsuki? Toru Watanabe asked Aoi Ichiki, who was walking in front of them. Let me see. Aoi Ichiki opened a travel magazine. About 15 minutes. 15 minutes to see a hot spring. Miki Kujo sneered. If her subordinates had come up with this plan, they would have been transferred to Kanagawa and bid farewell to the prosperous eastern Kyoto forever. The scenery in Hakone Tongliao is not bad. As soon as they entered, most of them were stunned by the scenery in front of them. Emerald green evergreen trees and fiery red maple leaves covered the stone path in the shade of these leaves. After visiting Hakone Tongliao, they took the Hakone Mountain Tram to Jonro Park, on the mountain. The red metal car climbed along the winding mountain road. This railway is said to have the steepest slope in Japan. Toru Watanabe leaned against the window and admired the red leaves that looked like they were about to burn. And then? Miki Kujo asked in a so what tone. And then? Toru Watanabe imitated her tone and repeated it. Then, because he liked her so much, he couldn't help but scratch her delicate nose. How can there be so many then? He said with a smile. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at him coldly. Did I allow you to scratch my nose? I don't think so. Bend over. Toru Watanabe bent over as if he wanted to kiss Miki Kujo. A contemptuous smile appeared on Miki Kujo's face, and she kissed him. Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. He thought Miki Kujo would scratch his nose or pinch his face. But when he saw Miki Kujo looking at Rin Kiyono provocatively, he understood her intention. Not to punish, but to show off to Rin Kiyono. Shallow women will do this kind of thing. Rin Kiyono touched her chin and showed a gloomy smile. Then let me see, what will a woman who is not shallow do? Miki Kujo asked with interest. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono turned to look at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe-san is not here. Toru Watanabe replied. He told me to pass on a message. In this kind of situation, you can't find him for anything good, so he went out. Aoi Ichiki snickered. The three of them looked at her at the same time, then looked away at the same time, silently admiring the scenery of Hakone outside the carriage. In addition to the red maple leaves on the mountain, they could also overlook the valley of Hayakawa. We're almost there, everyone get ready. Aona Koizumi said. Everyone remind each other, don't leave your classmates behind. I'm going to leave you here. A boy who was more than a friend, but not yet a lover, said to a girl. The tram arrived at the park station. Kamigawa's teachers and students lined up in a long line and walked to the Jonro Park. After entering the park, they had half an hour of free time. A tea room, a dessert shop, a restaurant, a workshop, there were many things to experience. Kamigawa students wearing black uniforms. One moment there were 4 of them here. The next moment there was a group of them, their figures were everywhere. Aoi Ichiki wanted to try drinking matcha in the traditional tea room. Rin Kiyono didn't want to take another step, so she followed. Miki Kujo wasn't interested in the tatami mats that had been used by countless people, nor the tea set that had been used by countless people, so she walked around the tea room. Toru Watanabe followed beside her. After leaving the tea room, they could see the fountain among the green pines and cypresses. With just one step, they went from the traditional Japanese courtyard to the Western scenery. You've been with me for this trip. How are you going to confess to her? Miki Kujo stood by the blue fountain. Even if I have to confess, I can't let you do it alone, Toru Watanabe said. Do you need me to give you a chance? Miki Kujo turned around and looked at him teasingly. I have a habit of jogging in the morning. She has the problem of insomnia on the first day in a new place, so there's a chance in the morning. You know her very well. I know you even better. I know that you like to. Under Miki Kujo's go on gaze, Toru Watanabe looked up at the clear sky and white clouds in the distance. The weather is so good. Miki Kujo snorted and let him off the hook this time. Did you plan to practice your morning jogging in advance? Plan in advance? Toru Watanabe retracted his gaze and looked at Miki Kujo in confusion. What do you mean? Rin told me that you purposely let me kill you twice, but it was actually something that you planned long ago. You don't even know how many times you've had to relive your life. She doesn't lie, right? It's just a guess. Miki Kujo said. It would be great if I could relive my life, Toru Watanabe said with a hint of yearning. If, Miki Kujo looked at him, you could relive your life, what would you plan to do with it? Toru Watanabe put his hands in his pockets and stared at the blue spring water for a while, then turned to Miki Kujo and said, It seems, there's no need to relive my life? There's no need. Miki Kujo reached out to Toru Watanabe's waist and said fiercely, If you can go back in time, come find me immediately, got it? I excitedly ran to Kujo milady and said, Miki. Before I could finish, the 15-year-old milady stood up handsomely and took out Still Flow's pistol. Bang, bang, bang. She shot me 3 times, and Toru Watanabe fell to the ground on the spot. Miki Kujo laughed and let go of his hand and said, A third-rate script full of mistakes. First of all, the only place you could see me was at school. At that time, I didn't have Still Flow by my side. Secondly, even if you saw me earlier, how could I do it myself? You still want to shoot me 3 times? It depends on Still Flow. I just want you to die. Then you might as well do it yourself. Toru Watanabe hugged her from behind and put his hand on her tight abdomen. Miki Kujo leaned into his arms and the white cumulus clouds in the distance stretched out comfortably. Aoi Ichiki came out of the tea room and praised matcha. At the same time, she was envious of the elegance of the waitress who poured the tea. After leaving Gongro Park, the group went to the hotel where they were staying. After lunch, they rested for a while and set off again. The smell of sulfur filled the air in the great surging valley. They bought a bag of black eggs, 500 yen, 5 eggs. Toru Watanabe ate 2. Hidden in the forest was the Hakone Shrine. Thick trees rose from the ground all around, like pillars supporting the sky. The shrine's Jinsen road led to the mountain, and the other to the Lake of Rushi. Finally, they took a pirate ship and circled around the Lake of Rushi. They leaned against the cabin and looked at Mount Fuji in the distance, and took photos of the red torii in the water. The first day of the mission ended when the Hakone Mountain turned even redder under the sunset. For dinner, they ate the hardhead trout caught in the Lake of Rushi. No one knew if it was true or not. Toru Watanabe slept in the same room as Miki Kujo. The hotel in Hakone Mountain was much quieter than Tokyo at night, and it seemed very quiet. In the luxurious bedroom, Toru Watanabe stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the Hakone Mountain. The vast wilderness, the golf course in the woods, the moonlight flowed like water. He wasn't sure if it was an illusion or because the air in Hakone was cleaner than Tokyo. There were no neon lights and the moon looked clearer than Tokyo. Finally, there was a sound in the silent bedroom. Miki Kujo came out of the bathroom. She was wearing a fitting bathrobe. Her chest was full, and her hair was tied up high. She looked at Toru Watanabe with a smile. So beautiful. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, "You're also very stylish." Miki Kujo said with a smile, "I'm telling the truth." "Are you the only one who can tell the truth?" Miki Kujo said in a bad mood. "I mean, I'm not just stylish." Toru Watanabe took her in his arms. "You're also a pervert? Our hearts are really connected." The two leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window and quietly looked at the Hakone Mountain, enjoying each other's body temperature. "Miki." In the comfortable atmosphere, Toru Watanabe whispered, "Yes. Can I kiss you?" A year ago in the summer, in the middle of the ball, the two slipped onto the boat. Toru Watanabe had also asked her to kiss him. "You're going to confess to Ling tomorrow, and you're going to do it with me today?" Miki Kujo asked with a smile. Toru Watanabe's lips were almost touching her face. "I'm with you right now. For the sake of Rin Kiyono tomorrow, ignoring today's Miki Kujo. For the sake of today's Miki Kujo, forgetting tomorrow's Rin Kiyono." These weren't things that Toru Watanabe should do. Their situation was complicated. When they were together, they wholeheartedly thought of each other. This was the right thing to do. At least, that was what Toru Watanabe believed. "Come." Miki Kujo raised her snow-white neck. Toru Watanabe's lips parted slightly. Miki Kujo's red, sparkling lips parted and pressed against each other. Bathed in the moonlight, it was just like when the two of them kissed on the boat in Tokyo Bay. The outline of the outer chakra mountain became clearer. The moon climbed up the mountain and shone brightly. "Yes." Miki Kujo left Toru Watanabe alone. She panted and said, "It's about time." "Go to bed?" "Yes." Toru Watanabe took out his right hand from the front of Miki Kujo's bathrobe. Then he placed his hand, which was still warm, behind Miki Kujo's knees and lifted her up. Miki Kujo delicately lay on the bed. Toru Watanabe leaned over and kissed her again. At the same time, his hand gently pulled open the sash at her waist. The rustling of clothes being taken off, the sound of panting, and the murmuring of calling each other. In the silent night, only these sounds passed by their ears. The next day at 5 o'clock in the morning, Miki Kujo was still sleeping soundly. Toru Watanabe gently got out of bed and changed into the school's sportswear. Strolling along the corridor, the surroundings were so quiet that they could hear the sound of the fog moving. "Good morning." As if it was fated, or as if it had been agreed long ago, he and Rin Kiyono met. "Do you want to do morning exercises with me?" Toru Watanabe invited her. "Forget about jogging." Waking up early, Rin Kiyono did not change her clothes. She was wearing the school's sportswear that she used as her pajamas last night. "If you want to go for a walk, I can accompany you." "Accompany me." The two of them walked out of the hotel. The cold air hit them in the face. Once they got used to the cold, they would feel comfortable because of the fresh air. "Do you have a place you want to go?" Rin Kiyono asked. "No, do you have one?" "Yes." Rin Kiyono hugged her body. "I want to go to Celestial Stone Field. I read in a travel magazine that once autumn comes, the mountains there will be covered with golden miscanthus. Today is a free walk. Wouldn't it be better to wait for the sun to come out?" Toru Watanabe asked. At this time, the sky was still dark. The moon was hanging reluctantly on Waigaquan Mountain, like a crab that was about to be fried, desperately using its pincers to hold the edge of the pot, trying to lift itself up. "There are many people during the day." "I see." After a moment of silence, Rin Kiyono asked, "You run every day. Is it okay if you don't run today?" "Actually, walking and running have no meaning to me in terms of exercise." "Then why do you insist on running?" "It sounds like something you would say." Toru Watanabe laughed. Rin Kiyono's face was calm. She did not deny that she hated exercise. Toru Watanabe continued, "What I insist on is not running, but looking forward to meeting you, because you have a habit of insomnia." "Lies. Didn't you say this to Miki yourself?" Toru Watanabe pretended to be surprised. "She said that I deliberately let her hurt me twice, in order to be together with senior Mayan Taunai-sensei." "That's only a possibility." Rin Kiyono was used to the outdoor temperature and slightly loosened her arms. "Impossible. Koizumi, sensei doesn't remember going to the future when she was 16. That's two different things." Maybe when you're old, or one day, if one of us has an accident, you'll get the ability to restart the timeline. I think I know why you're so familiar with Superman's setting. The two of them talked as they walked and arrived at Celestial Stonefield. There was a dirt road, and both sides were filled with tall grass. The morning wind blew, rustling the grass. Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono turned to Toru Watanabe in surprise. Toru Watanabe looked at her with a smile. Rin Kiyono seemed to like the deserted Celestial Stonefield. Her footsteps were light as she walked among the grass. Toru Watanabe followed her one step behind. He looked at her curvy back and her long black hair swaying gently in the wind. The sky gradually brightened. The morning light shone on the wilderness full of grass, making it golden. Toru Watanabe thought of winter camping. On the first day in the cold forest, Rin Kiyono sat on the roots of a tree to rest. The sun shone straight down and enveloped her like a holy sound. But Toru Watanabe didn't think of Rin Kiyono at that time. Instead, he thought of her lying on the white snow on the high-class snow trail. It was time. He wanted to go forward, but he couldn't move his feet. His throat was dry again. His voice must be hoarse. His heart was beating violently. His palms were hot and seemed to be sweating. He was nervous, worried, and even a little scared. But it was precisely because of this that he wanted to speak and stride forward. He wanted to let her hear his heartbeat and feel the warmth of his palms. Because these were all proof of his love for her and his desire to get her. Kiyono-san. Rin Kiyono stopped and turned around. She tilted her slender neck and asked softly, "What's wrong?" He heard the sound of the wind blowing through the grassland. At this time, Toru Watanabe decided to do what he really wanted to do. The November sky stretched out above Toru Watanabe's head. Only he and Rin Kiyono were in Celestial Stonefield covered with golden grass. It was a clear, almost transparent November morning. Chapter 357. Kiyono-san. What's the matter? I like you. Toru Watanabe remembered the scene that day very clearly. The miscanthus slowly swayed in the November-autumn wind. Wisps of thin clouds lingered in the azure sky. The white air exhaled seemed to be sucked away by the rising sun. Everything had absorbed the thick autumn aura, presenting an almost transparent world. Rin Kiyono, who was standing in the middle of the miscanthus, was as clear and beautiful as the autumn day. I know, Rin Kiyono said. I like you. Toru Watanabe repeated again. How did you? She seemed to understand something, but didn't continue. The wind slightly ruffled her hair, and the eyes under her long eyelashes quietly looked at Toru Watanabe. Just by looking at Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe's breath was about to be completely taken away. The chirping of birds in the distant forest seemed to come from the farthest world. I like you and I want to be with you. How do you want to be together? Rin Kiyono quietly looked at Toru Watanabe. You mean Miki my senpai, Anai senpai? Toru Watanabe replied. Do you think this is reasonable? It's not reasonable. Is it normal? It's not normal. Would I be willing? No. Rin Kiyono didn't say anything else, and her clear and beautiful eyes flashed with the sadness of falling in love with someone. I like you. Toru Watanabe had no other choice but to completely confess his feelings. I've been thinking about you recently, he said. My head is full of you. Sometimes it's very happy, sometimes it's so sad that I want to cry. My thoughts are in a mess, and the only thing that's clear is that I like you, and I can't lose you. Rin Kiyono's eyes looked at the miscanthus on the side of the road. Once a person had the happiness that they wanted to pursue, they would also have the night that they wanted to cry. I like you. Toru Watanabe once again said the only reason that kept him standing there. I like you too. Rin Kiyono retracted his gaze from the miscanthus and looked at Toru Watanabe's face. The two of them were only 2 meters apart, but she could feel the boundless vastness of the river of fate. She was very clear and understood the responsibility that Toru Watanabe shouldered. It was a responsibility as heavy as Mount Fuji, the tallest mountain in Japan. Not only was it heavy, but the responsibility was as reasonable as the rivers flowing into the sea and the sun setting in the west. It had to be borne. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and felt her gentle and clear love. Rin Kiyono loved Toru Watanabe as much as Toru Watanabe loved Rin Kiyono. Now, Toru Watanabe could be sure. When he tossed and turned, couldn't sleep because he missed her, and was sad that the two of them couldn't be together, she was the same. Kiyono classmate, I like you. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and didn't say a word. I like you. I like you so much that I don't care what kind of person I am. Honest, dishonest, single-minded, or unfaithful, I have to let you be with me. I think so too, so I want to take you away from the three of them. Rin Kiyono gazed into the distance, the vast sky. Is there anything else you want to say? She asked with her back facing Toru Watanabe. Just this alone wasn't enough to convince her. Watanabe classmate, you must have a way. Whether it's a lie or not, please give me a reason to be with you. Kiyono classmate. Toru Watanabe's voice was filled with unconcealable loneliness. It was the first time Rin Kiyono heard Toru Watanabe, who was usually smiling and talking, speak in such a sad tone. Her heart began to tremble, and she couldn't help but close her eyes, afraid that she would cry. I need you. Toru Watanabe's voice continued. I always thought that I was the person who brought you out of loneliness, the pillar that supported you to persist in your ideals. But I'm not. Toru Watanabe also closed his eyes, and his throat began to ache. You don't need me at all. You can live well by yourself. Loneliness is not worth mentioning to you, and no one can shake your beliefs. Rin Kiyono's body was so weak that it couldn't withstand the wind, but it carried the heart of a young girl that was different from the rest. It was so strong that it could even reach the farthest reaches of the universe. I'm the one who is afraid of loneliness, and the one who needs support is also me. It's not that you need me, but that I need you. Kiyono-san, I like you. Rin Kiyono turned around and opened her eyes. Am I the one who told you not to be with me? Her voice was calm, and sparkling tears slid down her beautiful face that only showed a hint of sadness. Toru Watanabe was so sad that he couldn't control himself. He opened his mouth, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make a sound. I know. After a long time, he finally got used to this pain for the time being. I know that it's all my fault. There's no reason for you to be with me, but, Toru Watanabe choked up again. The only thing I can do now is to beg you. I beg you to temporarily forget all my mistakes. Even if you care about them, please wait until we're together before you blame me to your heart's content. Kiyono-san, I like you. I really want to be with you. Toru Watanabe wants to be with you. Kiyono-san, I like you. Without you, my life can't go on. Kiyono-san, I like you. Rin Kiyono turned around, her back facing Toru Watanabe. She didn't make a sound, and only her shoulders were trembling. Looking up at the clouds in the sky, Toru Watanabe quietly waited for Rin Kiyono's answer in the miscanthus wilderness of celestial stone plains. Under the high dome, he felt as transparent as water, and as light as a feather. Without Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe really couldn't do it. Finally, Rin Kiyono collected her emotions and turned around again. Even with her back facing the light, her eyes were still shining like water. Okay, she said. The gradually rising temperature of the sun shone on Toru Watanabe's face. The wind blew over from Rin Kiyono's side. He smelled the fragrance of her body and the smell of the miscanthus. I want to confirm. Toru Watanabe's throat was dry. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva and clear his throat. What did you say just now? He asked carefully. I said. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. Okay. We are together. Toru Watanabe's voice gradually became louder. Chinyi Rin seemed to be cold and shy as he hugged his arms and nodded. Amichim. Toru Watanabe stared at her blankly. At this moment, he froze and didn't even blink. Before Rin Kiyono could react, he turned around and ran. Under Rin Kiyono's gaze, he ran along the straight path in the miscanthus. He shouted along the way, scaring the wild birds in the morning. He even somersaulted a few times in the end. When he was almost out of sight, he ran back. He stopped in front of her. His face was filled with fanaticism and excitement. He couldn't suppress the smile on his face. Looking at Toru Watanabe like this, Rin Kiyono's heart felt warm. She shyly tidied her bangs. Idiot, she said softly. Idiot, I'm an idiot, Toru Watanabe said happily. You can scold me however you want. Because as long as you can hear my ethereal voice, your heart will feel very comfortable. Rin Kiyono put down her hand and said with a relaxed smile. Hearing your ethereal voice, my heart will feel very comfortable, Toru Watanabe repeated with a smile. Rin Kiyono glanced at him. She couldn't help but look away. You're too happy. Of course I'm happy that my confession was successful. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but raise his arms and shout again. Rin Kiyono is mine. Rin Kiyono is mine. The entire celestial stone plains was filled with his voice. The Miscanthus were celebrating for him. The sun was shining brightly. Rin Kiyono was helpless and amused. Although it was noisy, she was very happy to hear it. She looked at him tenderly. Toru Watanabe slightly vented his inner excitement. He looked at her. Kiyono-san, asked. Rin Kiyono immediately knew why he called her. Did you promise me because of my honesty? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Half. What about the other half? You said that you like me many times. I like you, Kiyono-san. I like you too, Watanabe-san. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but reach out his hands and embrace his dream. That unattainable dream. I won't give you a chance to go back on your words. He smelled Rin Kiyono's fragrance. I won't give you a chance to go back on your words either. Rin Kiyono grabbed Toru Watanabe's clothes and pressed her forehead against his chest. How can I go back on my words? He felt the touch of her tight and slender waist. As your girlfriend, I'll be stricter with you. I can't ask for more. I can also see through all your lies. You won't have any personal space. I welcome your supervision. We'll have children in the future. If the children lie, I might dislike them. Rin Kiyono only needs to love Toru Watanabe. Will you always be good to me? I'm not sure, Toru Watanabe said. I'll do today and tomorrow first. You can only promise that you'll be good to me tomorrow? Yeah. Rin Kiyono let go of Toru Watanabe's clothes and wrapped her arms around Toru Watanabe's waist. This way, the two of them held each other tightly. Toru Watanabe hugged her tightly. Her soft hair, her cute ears, her slender neck, her soft shoulders and back, the small rise and fall of her breasts, and the beautiful curve of her waist. He wanted to use all his five senses, use everything in this body, and store all these feelings in the deepest part of his memory and imprint them in his heart. Right. Toru Watanabe suddenly thought of something. Can we take a picture together? A picture? Yeah. Toru Watanabe took out his cell phone. My lock screen wallpaper is me and Mickey. I want to set the main screen as you and me. Rin Kiyono looked at him coldly. If you don't want to hear the truth, I can say something else. This is the first time I hate the truth so much. Rin Kiyono sighed. With the clear autumn sky and the endless sea of Miscanthus as the background, the two of them took a picture in their sportswear. Let me see. Rin Kiyono opened her hands. Toru Watanabe handed his cell phone to her. Rin Kiyono carefully examined it, then set it as a pen and paper, and finally sent the picture to her own cell phone. After Toru Watanabe took back his cell phone, the two of them looked at each other and suddenly felt a little shy. They had known each other for so long and were already very close to each other, but they suddenly felt shy just because they were officially dating. Toru Watanabe looked at the clouds in the distance. Can I hug you for a while? Yeah. Rin Kiyono stared at the nearby Miscanthus. The two of them didn't look at each other, they just reached out their hands and hugged each other. Stroking Rin Kiyono's thin and slender back, Toru Watanabe exhaled softly. He was satisfied and had nothing else to ask for. Rin Kiyono was his. For Toru Watanabe, this was a miracle that couldn't be described with words. It wasn't until the second batch of tourists appeared in celestial stone plains that the two of them in sportswear returned to the hotel side by side. Miki Kujo opened her eyes and saw Toru Watanabe lying on the edge of the bed and staring at her with a grin. Are you trying to scare me to death? After saying that, she closed her eyes and continued sleeping. Of course she wasn't scared. When she opened her eyes and didn't see Toru Watanabe, she actually panicked. Miki, I'm never tired of seeing you sleeping. Judging from your tone, Miki Kujo opened her eyes. Did you succeed? Even Miki was taken down by me. Isn't Rin Kiyono a piece of cake? Toru Watanabe said proudly. Your eyes. Miki Kujo carefully looked at Toru Watanabe's face. They're red. You can't be so happy that you cried. That's why you cried for success. Success is success. What's there to cry for? If you're talking about crying, Rin Kiyono also cried. You guys are so pretentious. Miki Kujo's tone was disdainful. She reached out her hand and gently stroked Toru Watanabe's face. Now that you have her, will you forget about me? Only Miki is a treasure that I'm never willing to give up. Toru Watanabe was determined. Miki Kujo looked at him intently. After a while, she suddenly remembered something and asked, What do you mean by saying the same thing to Rin? I didn't say that to her. Do you think I'll believe you? You can't fool Rin, so you're trying to fool me? I mainly want to make you happy. Smooth talker. Miki Kujo lifted the quilt. Come in. Why are you coming in? It's breakfast time. Toru Watanabe reached out and tried to pull her up. I'm not eating. Miki Kujo turned her back. You go. Then when you wake up later, we'll find another restaurant to eat. Or I'll bring it to you after I'm done. Okay. Toru Watanabe didn't go to eat breakfast. He took off his clothes, crawled under the quilt, and hugged her from behind. What are you doing? Miki Kujo opened her eyes and looked at him in confusion. Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. He just hugged her tightly. Miki Kujo stared at him for a while. Finally, she closed her eyes and leaned into his arms comfortably. Your tricks don't work on me, she said. Then I'm leaving. Why aren't you leaving? I don't dare. Don't dare. I can't bear to. I can't bear to. Miki Kujo turned around and put her hands on Toru Watanabe's waist. The two of them were chest to chest, waist to waist. Their legs were crossed and they hugged each other even tighter. Their body heat passed and mingled with each other. Let's be buried together like this. Miki Kujo felt as if she was soaking in the most comfortable hot spring in the world. Do you mean now or in the future? What about now? Miki Jejia, please allow me to leave for a while. To do what? To kill Kiyono, Aona Koizumi, and my senpai, Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo smiled and rubbed her face against Toru Watanabe's face. We really are a good match. Miki, I like you the most. Toru Watanabe hugged her waist tightly. Are you also saying this to make me happy? Miki Kujo opened her eyes and stared at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe thought for a while. I need Kiyono's a little help. A little help. You're even speaking English. Looks like you're in a good mood. Speaking English means I'm in a good mood. What about speaking Chinese? Sad. What about French? Admit defeat. Spain. Are you still going to sleep? I can't sleep. Toru Watanabe blew into her ear. Jejia, let's go eat breakfast. Miki Kujo sighed. She couldn't do anything about him. Go, go, go. She kicked Toru Watanabe again. Go get my clothes. What are you wearing today? Toru Watanabe took his hand away from her soft chest and slipped off the bed. The two changed and went to the dining room. Rin Kiyono and Aoi Ichiki were already eating. Kujio Mia sat across from Seino Rin, stretched out her slender right hand, and said with a smile, My family's Watanabe. Please take care of him in the future. Whose family's Watanabe? Rin Kiyono didn't shake her hand. She looked at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe, of course. Watanabe's family's Watanabe. Toru Watanabe sat beside Miki Kujo and opposite Aoi Ichiki. He looked at Aoi Ichiki. You're laughing too much. Ha ha ha. Aoi Ichiki finally couldn't help but laugh. Sorry. She wiped her tears and said, I'm definitely not here to watch the fun. I'm very envious of the atmosphere between the three of you. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo looked at her at the same time. Aoi Ichiki immediately stopped laughing. The two ladies were much more intimidating than Toru Watanabe. Or rather, compared to the two ladies, Toru Watanabe wouldn't care about these things. By the way, she found a topic to talk about. Do you guys like to eat half-cooked eggs or fully cooked eggs? I'm the fully cooked type. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Half-cooked? What about Kiyono, classmate? Aoyachiki asked. Fully cooked. I'm in the same group as Kiyono, classmate. Aoyachiki said happily. No. Rin Kiyono looked at Miki Kujo and then looked at Toru Watanabe. The three of us are in the same group. Aoyachiki felt that she was being isolated. Chapter 358. The first Saturday after returning from Hakone, Toru Watanabe chose a nice and comfortable set of clothes. He originally wanted to style his hair, but because he didn't have the habit of messing with his hair, he didn't like to do it at the last minute. In the end, he looked the same as usual. He walked out of room 502 and turned into room 501. The three teachers had just finished their study trip and were preparing to spend the weekend lazily at home. Seeing Toru Watanabe come in, Masahi, who had become a frequent guest, immediately looked over. Aren't you going out? Aona Koizumi stood up from the sofa. Yes, I wanted to say something. Toru Watanabe walked over and gently wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you doing? Aona Koizumi immediately became shy and panicked. She put her hands on Toru Watanabe's chest and didn't push him away. She just didn't want their bodies to be too close. We're still here. Huangzi's gaze moved away from the TV. If you want to do something naughty, can you do it in the bedroom? Toru Watanabe looked past Aona Koizumi and glanced at Huangzi. Then he asked Aona Koizumi seriously, Are you going? Aona Koizumi clenched her fists and punched Toru Watanabe's shoulder. Toru Watanabe smiled and let go of her, then looked at Masahi. Hug. Masahi opened her arms. Toru Watanabe didn't hug her. Instead, he covered her delicate and beautiful face with his hands and waited for her lips to pout slightly before he kissed her gently. Huangzi couldn't bear to watch and burrowed into Miyazaki Miyuki's arms. Miyazaki Miyuki put her hand on her head and pushed her down on the sofa without mercy. Woo! Huangzi reached out to Aona Koizumi. Miyuki doesn't want me anymore. And I hug. Aona Koizumi's face was still red. She smiled and slapped her hand away. You only let Watanabe hug you. If you don't let me hug you, I'll remember you. We're done. While Huangzi pretended to be pitiful, Toru Watanabe released Masahi and said to her, Let's be happy together. Okay. Masahi replied happily. I'm leaving, he said to everyone. Be careful on the road, Aona Koizumi reminded. All right. With Miki Kujo, Masahi, Aona Koizumi, and now Rin Kiyono, Toru Watanabe was filled with strength and happiness. He could do anything for them, and he could resist any temptation for them. Toru Watanabe recalled the day when they returned to Iwate Prefecture, when the three of them rode an old single-car tram together. When they meet later, what should he say first? Complimenting the clothes? It was impossible for her clothes to be ugly. Complimenting her hair? He couldn't imagine Rin Kiyono's hair being ugly. Then he could only say, Kiyono-san, I like you. Rin Kiyono's hair, which was as black as lead powder, fluttered in the wind. Her clothes showed off the elegance of a young girl. Rin Kiyono, who was usually quite pretty, was even prettier today. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe, as if she were looking at an idiot. She opened her mouth slightly, and was about to speak when Toru Watanabe hurriedly raised his hand to interrupt her. Wait, he said. It's our first date, so the opening has to be perfect. Let's start again. Rin Kiyono leisurely crossed her arms and waited for him to think of a new opening for their first date. Have you thought of one? After a while, she asked him with a teasing and provocative smile. Yep. Toru Watanabe relaxed his frown. I can only try. Rin Kiyono lifted her chin slightly, meaning, go ahead. Toru Watanabe looked into her clear and beautiful eyes and said, I like you. Isn't that the same as before? Rin. I like you, Rin. Yep. Rin, I like you. If you like to repeat yourself so much, I suggest you apply for a job as a station announcer. Rin Kiyono tucked her hair behind her ears and turned her face away, revealing her small white ears that were dyed red. I've never been a station announcer before, but I've been working as a trolley car operator for an entire day, Toru Watanabe said. You're lying again. Did you forget? I wait prefecture to Tokyo, 400 kilometers. Toru Watanabe brushed his bangs back and made a gesture of putting on a hat. That's enough. Rin Kiyono recovered from her embarrassment. Where's the first stop, Suki-san? What did you just call me? Rin Kiyono put her hand to her lips and didn't dare to look at Toru Watanabe. She said in a voice as soft as a sigh. Toru. Say it again. Toru. Say it again. Rin Kiyono glared sharply at Toru Watanabe. Her beautiful white face was still flushed. Her cute appearance made Toru Watanabe's heart beat faster. If this was Shonen O'Hara, there was no one around, he would definitely scream. I'm sorry, he said. Why are you apologizing? Rin Kiyono was a little surprised. This wasn't in line with Toru Watanabe's personality. I'm not apologizing for what happened just now. Toru Watanabe scratched his eyebrows. I suddenly felt a little shy and didn't know what to say, so I apologized. Rin Kiyono was stunned at first, then looked at him in amusement. You already have 3 girlfriends. You're still shy with me, your 4th? No, you're the first person I fell in love with. That's a quick reaction. Rin Kiyono nodded in satisfaction. Rather than saying it's a reaction, I think it's more of an instinct. Toru Watanabe secretly thanked Mickey, who always tested him with various language traps. Now, are you thanking Mickey in your heart? Let me explain why I'm shy. Rin Kiyono was amused and helpless. Okay. Let's talk while we walk. As soon as Toru Watanabe opened his mouth, the two of them realized that they had been standing at the meeting place and hadn't moved at all. The so-called date, as long as it was just the two of them, even if they didn't do anything and just stood there and chatted, it was enough to make them happy. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono realized this at the same time, and then fell into happiness together. When they were about to walk out of the Fur Valley station, Toru Watanabe remembered a very important thing. He glanced at Rin Kiyono. She was looking at him. Their eyes met, quickly entangled, and then immediately separated. What's going on? Why is it so embarrassing and exciting? We've already hugged. Toru Watanabe summoned his courage and reached out his faintly trembling right hand to Rin Kiyono's white left hand. The moment their skin touched, Rin Kiyono's hand suddenly moved away. Sorry, Toru Watanabe quickly said. I was too anxious. There were many girls who didn't know how to hold hands on their first date. Rin Kiyono was so shy that her body was trembling, but when she saw his cautious appearance, she immediately relaxed. She put down her hand and returned it to its original position, using this action to tell Toru Watanabe that they could hold hands. But Toru Watanabe became a frightened bird and didn't dare to move. Why are you so shy? Rin Kiyono was really curious this time. Shy? I didn't want to scare you, so I deliberately pretended to be a gentleman for the first time. His reaction was too fast. He forgot that Rin Kiyono could see through his lies. Or was it because he was too shy, so he panicked and didn't know what to say? Say it. Rin Kiyono saw through his lies. It's normal for me to be shy. Toru Watanabe gave up and stopped struggling. Although I have 3 girlfriends, I've never been in a normal relationship. Rin Kiyono was deep in thought, carefully recalling Toru Watanabe's interactions with Miki Kujo, Mayasahi, and Aona Koizumi. Before she could think clearly, Toru Watanabe suddenly took her hand. The two of them looked at each other and didn't say anything. They didn't think about anything. They just held hands and walked with their heads down until they reached the Ida Bridge. The two of us are really strange, Toru Watanabe said. It's really strange. I'm not talking about your personality or ability, but your performance just now. You didn't take a step and just stood there talking nonstop. You kept walking and didn't say a word. Isn't that strange? I've never been in a relationship, so I don't know what a normal couple is like. I don't hate it. Rin. Nothing, I just wanted to try calling you. After saying that, Toru Watanabe cautiously added, sorry. Rin Kiyono suddenly let go of his hand. Toru Watanabe was startled and reflected on what he had done wrong. This time, before he could figure it out, Rin Kiyono directly hugged his arm. The action was very intimate, completely different from the elegant hold between Miki Kujo and Rin. If it's Che, you can call me as many times as you want. She flashed a bright smile that she had never shown before. Rin. Yeah, Rin. Yep, Rin. But you can't call me too many times. This is the last time, Rin. Yeah. Walking on the busy street, looking at the window displays and shopping, the two of them felt very happy, as if they had actually grasped something very ethereal and stuffed it into their chest. They went to the bookstore, bought some shoes together, and the day passed quickly. He recalled that day when he walked through the park. A child was intently playing Bonyo on the cliff, on his flute to his mother, who was sitting on a bench. His mother was humming along to the beat, and the beech trees rustled in the wind. After watching a movie that night, Toru Watanabe sent Rin Kiyono home. The entrance to the high-end apartment was very bright, like a lighthouse in the night. Good night. Rin Kiyono waved gently. Good night. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but wave back. The two of them looked at each other like that. You go first. It was a small thing, but it was enough for Toru Watanabe to smile happily. Rin Kiyono originally wanted to say you go first, but when she tucked her hair behind her ear, she changed her mind. Do you want to come up? She almost trembled as she said this. Oh. Toru Watanabe's voice trembled even more than Rin Kiyono's. Okay. The two of them left the night and walked into the brightly lit apartment. They didn't say a word, as if they were strangers. In the elevator, their gazes would occasionally meet, but they would immediately separate like hot oil and cold water. Have a seat, I'll pour you some tea. After entering the living room, Rin Kiyono immediately found an excuse to leave. Okay. Toru Watanabe sat down on the sofa obediently, the shopping bags neatly placed by his feet. He suddenly thought of something and said loudly to Rin Kiyono, I don't want that Countess black tea, it's not good. What did you say? Rin Kiyono really didn't hear him clearly, her heart was beating too loudly. Nothing. Toru Watanabe thought she heard him clearly. As expected, he drank the Countess black tea again. Toru Watanabe didn't notice it during the day, but now he suddenly realized that Rin Kiyono's lips were so soft when the teacup touched them. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me? Rin Kiyono asked curiously. Nothing. Toru Watanabe pretended to drink his tea. Rin Kiyono put down the teacup and stretched. Her back formed a beautiful arc, and her slender wrists stretched towards the ceiling. Her chest, which he usually didn't pay attention to, was not as flat as Toru Watanabe imagined. After walking for a whole day, I'm so tired. I really admire you. Where are you looking? Toru Watanabe fell into deep thought, then put down the teacup, and walked towards Rin Kiyono with determination and vigor. Their hearts were beating violently, as if someone was drumming in their chest. Both of them felt the same way at the same time. I'm going to change my clothes. Wait for me. Rin Kiyono got up and walked towards the bedroom. Kiyono-san. Toru Watanabe grabbed her slender wrist, looked at her side profile, and nervously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Rin Kiyono didn't say anything, nor did she try to break free. Can I? Toru Watanabe felt hot air rushing to his head, and he couldn't think about anything else. Rin Kiyono still remained silent. Toru Watanabe gently pulled her into his arms, and the two of them looked at each other, feeling each other's hot breath. Rin Kiyono slowly closed her eyes, and those soft cherry lips became more and more alluring. The faint fragrance and soft touch were like a pool of sweet spring water that he couldn't get enough of, and it was a comfort that he had never felt before. The two of them went to the bedroom and lay on the bed, facing each other. What do you hate? Rin Kiyono asked softly. Absorbent sports shoes. In order to get closer to Rin Kiyono, he didn't care about the eyes of the world, and ran in the heavy rain. What else? A hardcover book that's so heavy. In order to have common topics with Rin Kiyono, and to gain enough knowledge, he brought books with him every day. What else? 2 slices of salmon from the supermarket. When he was eating this, he was still living in the rented apartment where he could see Rin Kiyono. When he went to the convenience store in the middle of the night, he thought that it would be great if he could meet her. At that time, the most he bought was salmon. About me. I like everything about you. Toru Watanabe's hand touched the bra button on Rin Kiyono's back. Rin Kiyono grabbed Toru Watanabe's collar, buried her head in his chest, and felt his body temperature getting hotter and hotter. Toru Watanabe grabbed the hem of her sweater and gently pulled it up. Rin Kiyono obediently raised her arms. Her skin was as clear as snow, her shoulders were curvy, and her breasts were full of youthful vitality. Rin Kiyono's eyes were tightly closed, and she was as beautiful and holy as a sleeping princess. Her delicate body was like a goddess, like a white flower, and also like water accumulated by the moonlight. She just lay there, and her black hair spread out on the snow-white pillow. Rin, I'm here. Toru Watanabe looked at her with infatuation. Rin Kiyono's voice was gentle as she gently stroked Toru Watanabe's hot cheeks. I love you, Rin. I love you too, Toru. The moonlight had never been so beautiful. The two of them lay on a fragrant and warm cloud. The next morning, Toru Watanabe was woken up by a noise. What are you doing? He looked at the neatly dressed Rin Kiyono under the bed, and the vacuum cleaner in her hand. I'm cleaning on the weekends, so you should get up and help. I'm a guest. How can you let a guest clean? Toru Watanabe hadn't gone for a morning run in a long time, and he was woken up by the noise. You're a guest? How can a guest sleep on the master's bed? Get up and help. That's not impossible. Toru Watanabe laughed from the bed. Kiss me, and I'll. Stop, I know, don't use the vacuum cleaner on me again. I'm not trash. The next day, on a sunny Monday, in the corner by the window of Year 2 Class 4. You look good. Miki Kujo smiled at Rin Kiyono. You look worse than me. Chingy Rin said as he crossed his arms. Watanabe. Miki Kujo put her hand on Toru Watanabe's neck. Did you hear that? My complexion is worse. I meant for you to sleep well. Rin Kiyono glanced at her. How can I sleep well without Watanabe by my side? We sleep best when we're hugging each other, and we're planning to hug each other when the time comes. Isn't that right, Watanabe? Watanabe-san? Rin Kiyono also looked at Toru Watanabe. Everyone, return to your seats. The morning class meeting is about to begin. Aona Koizumi walked in with a lesson plan. Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono looked at each other fiercely, and ended the argument. Toru Watanabe escaped one disaster, but he was sure that there were more such things waiting for him in the future. But there was no need to rush, because they had been together for a long time. Aona Koizumi talked about the arrangements for the second year of high school, and Toru Watanabe looked out the window. He remembered something from a long time ago. He also looked out the window like this and thought about the ending of the story. That was the Human Observation Department's first activity. It was a submission to the Literature Department. So, what should he use as the ending this time? It was at noon near the end of April. Aona Koizumi told him that he had to join a society. He saw a strange recruitment poster on the bulletin board of the society building. It was the Human Observation Department. The head was Rin Kiyono, who was 1 month away from turning 16. Next, he would go to Imperial Tea, pass through the corridor in the afternoon, and turn into a cat. On the wire fence of Kanagawa High School's playground, a crow blinked its black eyes, flapped its wings, and flew into the distant blue sky. It flew over Tokyo and flew away. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.